My wife is a beautiful CEO. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51. Su Chen, are you asleep? Seeing Zhou Wanqiu's happy look, Su Chen smiled lightly. He understood more and more that, if he wanted to feel better, he had to make Zhou Wanqiu feel better. If he wanted Zhou Wanqiu to feel better, he had to make Zhao's catering group develop smoothly. Su Chen suddenly felt that maybe he should help Zhao's catering a little more. In this way, his future life would be easier. The two of them arrived home quickly. As soon as they entered the door, Zhao Pingjiang pulled Zhou Wanqiu over and asked her to tell him in detail what happened. Zhao Giring, on the other hand, found Su Chen. Su Chen, did you eat enough at the banquet? Do you want me to make you some more noodles? Zhao Giring was more attentive. She was worried that Su Chen would be too shy to eat in such a business occasion. However, Zhao Giring didn't know that Su Chen didn't care about these at all. The food center project was given to Zhao's catering group a long time ago. Therefore, Su Chen's eating manners would not be affected. Aunt Zhao, don't bother, I'm full. Su Chen declined politely, but was still very touched. On the side, Zhou Wanqiu said with a smile, Su Chen, did you learn anything from attending the banquet this time? The head of the Yao family can be said to be one of the top few people in the province, very powerful. I asked Wanqiu to take you there, just to let you see it. Su Chen then realized that Zhou Wanqiu brought him along because of the order from Grandpa Zhao. A warm current passed through his heart. Although Zhou Wanqiu was critical of him, Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Giring were sincere. Thank you, Grandpa. The head of the Yao family is really impressive, and I learned a lot from him. Su Chen smiled. Zhou Wanqiu nodded with satisfaction. On the other side, Zhao Pingjiang was a little confused by Zhou Wanqiu's description. This Yao Zhenfeng really treats you a little too well. Zhao Pingjiang frowned slightly. He murmured, do you think he likes you? Su Chen almost spit out when he heard this. Zhou Wanqiu also blushed and complained, Dad, what are you talking about? Zhao Pingjiang knew that he had said something wrong and hurriedly said, I'm just guessing. Maybe he has a grandson who is old enough to get married. Dad, you don't even have a serious word to say. I won't pay attention to you. Zhou Wanqiu said coquettishly. Zhao Pingjiang laughed and said, I really can't guess. This old man is too polite to you. He even asked you to call him grandpa. Just based on the status of the Yao family in the province, let alone you, I can call him grandpa. Bang. As soon as Zhao Pingjiang finished speaking, he was slapped on the head. He turned around and saw Zhou Wanqiu standing behind him with an angry face. You bastard. You call Yao Zhenfeng grandpa? Do you want me to call him dad? The old man became more and more angry as he spoke and picked up his walking stick to hit Zhao Pingjiang. Zhao Pingjiang was so scared that he begged for mercy and ran away. Dad, that's not what I meant. Hey, Dad, I just wanted to emphasize that Yao Zhenfeng has a high status. Dad, it hurts. It hurts. I was wrong. There was a commotion in the hall of the villa. It was full of fireworks. Zhou Wanqiu covered her mouth and laughed. However, when she turned her head and saw Su Chen laughing even more happily, she suddenly became unhappy. Thump, thump, thump. Zhou Wanqiu walked closer to Su Chen. Are you happy to see my grandfather beat my dad? Su Chen had a question mark on his face. It's not me who asked them to beat him. Su Chen argued. Zhou Wanqiu's expression froze. Then, you are not allowed to laugh either. Su Chen was in pain. Today, Zhou Wanqiu's temper was really hard to figure out. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. It's just that Su Chen didn't know. Now Zhou Wanqiu, when she sees him, will think of the scene of him sitting in the red Ferrari and the pink Mercedes-Benz G, and think of Kinyao Iao's words dear. That's why she often sees him, and becomes more angry. Being glared at by Zhou Wanqiu, Su Chen had to hold back his smile, watching Zhou Wanqiu chasing and beating Zhao Pingjiang, and then, secretly laughing. Zhao's villa was naturally full of laughter, but He Zhenchen was in sorrow. Crash. He Zhenchen suddenly pushed everything on the table to the ground. Why? Fuck. What tricks did that little bitch use to make the old man Yao Zhenfeng like her so much? At this moment, He Zhenchen tore off the smile he usually pretended on his face and was as ferocious as a wolf. On the side, Liu Zuan and other bodyguards were trembling with fear and dared not speak loudly. He Zhenchen was so angry that he turned back and forth in the room, throwing everything he saw. After a long time, his anger gradually subsided. Seeing this, Liu Zuan hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Mr. He, I think, if it really doesn't work, we can." As he spoke, he made a gesture of wiping his neck. "Anyway, we have done a lot of this kind of thing in the past. I will be more clean and make sure they can't find out, even if they want to." Liu Zuan showed a sinister expression. He Zhencheng's eyes were thoughtful. He had done this trick of killing competitors many times in the past. However, most of those things happened before he rose to prominence. After he became a big boss in Bincheng's catering industry, he was not willing to leave too many such handles. However, the current Zhao group made him think about it again. Suddenly, He Zhenchen thought of someone. "No." He Zhenchen shook his head. "You forgot someone." "Who?" "Su Chen." He Zhenchen said, "That Zhou Wanqiu has Su Chen protecting him. You may not be able to deal with him." Hearing this, Liu Zuan was a little discouraged. He almost forgot that the biggest difference between Zhou Wanqiu and the people they had killed before was that he had Su Chen, a master, by his side. "Mr. He, how about we buy Su Chen over?" Liu Zuan suggested. He Zhenchen was stunned and then fell into deep thought. This idea really made him a little tempted. If Su Chen can be bribed, it will be much easier to take over Zhao's catering. Finally, He Zhenchen made the decision. "Okay. Try to bribe Su Chen first." It was late at night. Everyone in the Zhao family villa went back to rest. Su Chen was still sitting cross-legged on his mat. The sound of Zhou Wanqiu tossing and turning in bed came to his ears. Zhou Wanqiu seemed to be unable to sleep again tonight. Last night, she seemed to be annoyed by the food center project. And today, I don't know if it was because of excitement. However, Su Chen remembered the lessons learned from last night and never took the initiative to ask. At this moment, Zhou Wanqiu suddenly said, "Su Chen, are you asleep?" In order not to cause trouble for himself, Su Chen replied, "I'm asleep." Zhou Wanqiu suddenly became angry and said, "You are deliberately irritating me, aren't you? Mr. Zhao, what's the matter? Tell me." Su Chen said helplessly. Zhou Wanqiu asked, "Su Chen, I see that Mr. Yao seems to be nice to you. Why?" Su Chen thought about it and decided to tell the truth. "Actually, the reason is very simple. Yesterday, he almost died, and I happened to save his life. So, he treats me well. Because he loves me, he treats you well too, and he even gave you the food center project." In an instant, the bedroom fell silent. Chapter 52 He Zhenchen calls. In the bedroom, only the breathing sounds of Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu remained. Su Chen was also very curious about what Zhou Wanqiu would do after he told the truth. Would he thank him? Or, however, after a long time, Zhou Wanqiu's angry voice came from the darkness. "You only know how to brag every day. Did you bring a cow with you when you came out of the village?" Humph. Zhou Wanqiu rolled her eyes and ended the chat. She didn't believe what Su Chen said at all. What kind of person was Yao Zhenfeng? Su Chen was lucky enough to have contact with Yao Zhenfeng once with the help of the Zhao family. And saving Yao Zhenfeng's life, isn't that nonsense? How powerful is the Yao family in the provincial capital that they need a barefoot doctor from your village to save him? Zhou Wanqiu complained in her heart. This Su Chen has learned bad things too quickly since he came out of the village. Not only is he kept by a rich woman, but he doesn't even tell the truth. Su Chen smiled helplessly. When he didn't speak, Zhou Wanqiu had to ask. He told the truth, but she didn't believe it. It's so hard to be a human being. After a while, Zhou Wanqiu fell asleep. Su Chen was even more speechless. It turned out that Zhou Wanqiu talked to him just to scold him and then fall asleep. The next morning, Zhou Wanqiu and Su Chen finished breakfast and went to work. Su Chen was put down in a familiar corner. Su Chen walked into Zhao's catering group and took the elevator. When Su Chen was about to walk into the secretariat office, his cell phone rang suddenly. He looked down and saw that it was Zhou Wanqiu's call. "Hello, President Zhou, what's the matter? Su Chen answered. Go to my office and wait. I have something for you to do. Zhou Wanqiu said. Su Chen was confused. If he had something to do for himself, why didn't he say it in the car just now? However, he didn't want to ask Zhou Wanqiu. Su Chen walked to the door of the president's office and happened to meet Zhou Wanqiu coming up from downstairs. President Zhou, what do you want to talk to me about? Su Chen asked. Zhou Wanqiu opened the door and said, help me get something. As he spoke, Zhou Wanqiu stopped talking. Gao minimum, why are you in my office? Su Chen stretched his head and looked into the president's office. He saw Gao minimum lying comfortably on Zhou Wanqiu's office chair with his legs on the desk. Zhou Wanqiu's face was gloomy. Gao minimum's behavior was a bit presumptuous. However, Gao minimum smiled coldly and said, nothing, I just came to my office in advance to feel it. Your office? Zhou Wanqiu asked coldly. Yes. Gao minimum nodded as a matter of course. It won't be long before this will be my office. Haha. I forgot to tell you that the old patriarch of the Yao family in the provincial capital has come to Bincheng. In a few days, my brother will sign a contract with them. When the food center project is signed by my brother, can you still keep your position as president? Isn't this president's office still mine? Hahaha. Gao minimum laughed triumphantly. Zhou Wanqiu and Su Chen looked at Gao minimum as if she were a fool. Last night, both of them signed the contract. As a result, Gao minimum is still showing off this project now, which is really funny. Gao minimum laughed for a while and slowly stopped. She felt that the atmosphere seemed a bit strange. At this time, shouldn't Zhou Wanqiu be dejected or angry? Why didn't she react? Zhou Wanqiu, why don't you say anything? Are you desperate? Gao minimum asked sharply. Su Chen said lightly, Secretary Gao, if President Zhao's brain can be sold for 10,000 yuan, then your brain can definitely be sold for 1 million. Hearing Su Chen's words, Gao minimum's face lit up. It seems that what she said is still quite useful. Even Su Chen began to flatter himself. Gao minimum smiled and said, Su Chen, it seems that you finally understand who is the real brain. No, you misunderstood. Su Chen shook his head. What I mean is that compared to President Zhao, Secretary Gao's brain should still be brand new. Puchy. Zhou Wanqiu couldn't help but laugh directly. Su Chen's words were clearly scolding Gao minimum in a roundabout way, saying that she had never used her brain. The smile on Gao minimum's face rose. Su Chen, what do you mean? Gao minimum asked through gritted teeth. Su Chen smiled and said, don't dream in broad daylight, okay? If it doesn't work, go to the hospital and see a neurosurgeon. At this time, Zhou Wanqiu also cooperated. I think so. If the doctor says that using this office will help your condition, I'm willing to give it to you and help you recover. Gao minimum was so angry that she was about to explode. Okay. You two, remember this, wait until my brother signs the food center project, and then I will make you look good. Gao minimum angrily said a harsh word and slammed the door and left. Zhou Wanqiu's face showed a carefree smile. If it were before, she might really be scared by Gao minimum's words. But she had already completed the food center project last night, so what was there to be afraid of? Boss Zhao, why did you ask me to come? Su Chen asked. Zhou Wanqiu immediately put away the smile on her face. She threw the car keys to Su Chen and said coldly, go to parking space A1414, get in my car, and bring up the contract signed with Grandpa Yao yesterday. Su Chen then realized that Zhou Wanqiu had forgotten to take something. He wanted to ask, why don't you go back and get it yourself? But after thinking about it, it's better not to cause trouble for yourself. Su Chen took the key and turned downstairs. Before leaving, Su Chen reminded, by the way, Mr. Zhao, Gao minimum has been in your office for a long time, see if she has touched your things. Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, my important documents are all in the safe, no one can touch them except me. Do your own thing. Su Chen hit a soft nail and curled his lips. When we were dealing with Gao minimum together just now, we were on the same front. But now, she turned around and threw herself aside. Haha, woman. Throw away men after using them. Su Chen walked to the underground garage took back the contract signed yesterday, and handed it to Zhou Wanqiu. Zhou Wanqiu waved his hand. Su Chen was too lazy to stay here, and went straight back to the office of the secretariat. At this moment, Gao Minimum was patrolling the office with a cold face. Zhang Yu, Liu Pan and others lowered their heads like quails. Su Chen, where have you been? Did you clock in at work? Do you want your salary to be deducted? Gao Minimum said coldly. Su Chen said indifferently, Boss Zhao asked me to do something. She is the president of the group, and I'm her secretary, so I have to listen to her arrangements. Are you trying to use Zhou Wanqiu to pressure me? Gao Minimum stared. Su Chen said calmly, this is not a matter of whether I want to or not. She is already suppressing you. Okay, you wait for me. Gao Minimum was so angry that she exploded and turned to leave. Zhang Yu, Liu Pan and others cheered and came up. Brother Chen, you are awesome. Hard fighting the female devil. Awesome. Su Chen smiled indifferently. You guys are relatives and descendants of the company's middle and senior leaders after all. Why are you so afraid of her? Zhang Yu smiled bitterly. Our relatives are only leaders or small shareholders, and Gao Minimum's brother is the second largest shareholder of the company. Except for the Zhao family, Gao Rinhui has the most shares, so it's impossible not to be afraid of her. Su Chen finally understood. Luckily you are here, Brother Chen, to draw her fire away. I don't know what provoked this female devil just now. She came over to spit at us. Damn, she spit it all over my face. I even want to hold an umbrella. Several other people also complained. Su Chen smiled guiltily. It seemed that the ones who provoked this female devil were him and Zhou Wanqiu. Everyone chatted for a while and returned to their workstations. Su Chen sat in his seat, flipping through some company documents out of boredom. Ding ling ling. Suddenly, his cell phone rang. Looking down, it turned out to be an unfamiliar number. Whose call? Su Chen answered the call with doubts in his heart. The next second, a slightly familiar voice appeared in his ears. Is this Mr. Su Chen? I'm He Zhenshen. The person on the other side introduced himself. Su Chen was startled. What did He Zhenshen want to do with him? Chapter 53 Trampling Bincheng underfoot. Holding the phone, Su Chen was very confused. He Zhenshen? Why are you calling me? Su Chen raised his eyebrows. He Zhenshen smiled and said, Su Chen, my people are waiting for you downstairs of your Zhao group. Get in the car. He will take you to the He group to see me. I have something to discuss with you. Something to talk to me about. Su Chen looked puzzled. Is he very familiar with this He Zhenshen? Not interested. Goodbye. After saying that, Su Chen hung up the phone directly. Beep beep beep. He's catering group. He Zhenshen looked confused. What the hell is this dog temper? Hang up as soon as he said it. He Zhenshen suppressed his anger and called Su Chen again. Hey. What's the matter with you? Tell me. Su Chen's impatient voice came. He Zhenshen took a deep breath and said, Su Chen, I don't want to conflict with you, but you'd better listen to me and go downstairs and take a car to my He group. Otherwise, don't blame me for using some unconventional means. You may not be afraid at that time, but Zhou Wanqiu, Zhao Pingjiang, Zhou Rongchang and others may not be able to bear it. Hearing He Zhenshen's threat, Su Chen's eyes gradually became cold. He Zhenshen, you are making yourself uncomfortable. Su Chen said coldly. He Zhenshen smiled faintly and said, I don't want to be like this either. I just want to have a good chat with Mr. Su. Su Chen nodded. Okay. I'll go down right away. I want to hear what you can talk to me about. After hanging up the phone, Su Chen's eyes flashed with coldness. He could ignore He Zhenshen's threat. However, he couldn't ignore Zhou Rongchang's safety. Most of the time, he followed Zhou Wanqiu. If He Zhenshen sent someone to the Zhao family villa to make trouble, he might not be able to take care of it. Oh, I have to ask Zhou Wanqiu for leave. Su Chen felt a little annoyed. He walked quickly to the president's office, knocked on the door, and went in after getting permission. Zhou Wanqiu raised her beautiful eyes slightly, and when she saw that it was Su Chen, she said coldly, what's the matter? Su Chen said, I want to ask for leave, not for long. 2 or 3 hours will be enough. Zhou Wanqiu stared at Su Chen blankly and said disdainfully, why? Does your little baby rich love miss you again? Su Chen's mouth twitched. Is this thing going to be over? No. I'm going to see Su Chen was about to explain. However, Zhou Wanqiu was still too lazy to listen. I'm not interested in the shitty things of you two, or you three, and I don't want to listen. I just want to tell you that, if you do such disgusting things in the future, don't do it near our group. Don't do it near my house, so as not to be seen by others. Get out of my way. Zhou Wanqiu said. Su Chen simply didn't explain. Okay, then I'm leaving. After saying that, Su Chen turned around and left decisively. Zhou Wanqiu was furious when she saw how efficient he was. She raised her head and shouted at Su Chen's back, "You've been absent from work for half a day, so I'll deduct 1 day's salary from you." Okay. Su Chen's nonchalant voice came. Zhou Wanqiu was so angry that her teeth ached. What's the attitude of this bastard? He thinks he's so proud of being supported by a rich woman. He's ashamed. Zhou Wanqiu cursed angrily. After cursing, she quickly stood by the window and looked downstairs. Soon, Su Chen's figure appeared in her sight. Su Chen walked out of the group building and then walked towards a black and white Bentley on the street. It's actually a Bentley? Zhou Wanqiu frowned. Is this pretty boy from the countryside so popular with rich women? A red Ferrari sports car, a pink Mercedes-Benz G-Class, a black and white Bentley. Is this a rich woman's car, or 3 different rich women? Zhou Wanqiu murmured to himself, if it is a rich woman's car, and she can own 3 luxury cars at the same time, this rich woman must be very powerful. If the 3 cars belong to 3 different rich women, then it proves that Su Chen, this pretty boy, is doing well in the circle of rich women. But why do rich women like him? He Zhenshen's car made Zhou Wanqiu fall into irritation and contemplation. At this time, Su Chen was sitting in a luxurious Bentley, driving towards the He group. Su Chen sat steadily in the back seat. The driver was also an acquaintance. It was Liu Zuan who was kicked away by him. And in the passenger seat, there was a man wearing sunglasses. Su Chen also recognized this man. It was the scarred face who had surrounded him before, and was used as a weapon by him. Does he Zhenshen have any evil taste? Is he letting 2 men who I beat up come to pick me up to test their courage? Su Chen laughed in his heart. The black and white Bentley is very conspicuous in the traffic. Other cars on the road are hiding far away, for fear of any scratches with this luxury car. Soon, the Bentley arrived at the He's catering group. "Mr. Su, please get off the car. Our Mr. He is waiting for you," Liu Zuan said politely. Su Chen stepped down. The He's catering group building in front of him seemed to be much more upscale than the Zhao's catering group. Its floors were also higher. Su Chen followed behind Liu Zuan and took the elevator to the top floor. The chairman's office. Knock on the door. "Come in." A majestic voice sounded. The door opened. He Zhenshen stood in front of the huge French window and turned slowly. "Welcome, Mr. Su." He Zhenshen stretched out his hands, as if he had met a friend he hadn't seen for many years, and seemed to want to give Su Chen a hug. Su Chen waved his hand directly. "Don't try that. I don't like to cuddle with men." He Zhenshen's smile froze, and then he smiled awkwardly. "Ha ha ha. Mr. Su is quite humorous." He Zhenshen naturally put his hand away, and then said to the sofa beside him, "Mr. Su, please sit down." Su Chen sat down without any hesitation. "Tell me, what do you want to see me for?" "I asked for leave, and if I go back late, my salary will be deducted," Su Chen said indifferently. He Zhenshen smiled and said, "I asked Mr. Su to come here to see the scenery." "See the scenery?" Su Chen was a little surprised. He Zhenshen stood up and walked to the French window again. "Mr. Su, you can come and see." Su Chen stood up and walked to the window. The building of his catering group is very tall, and He Zhenshen's office is on the top floor. Looking out from the huge French window, the scenery of the entire city is all in sight. "Mr. Su, how is the scenery here? Does it feel like you have the whole Bincheng under your feet?" Su Chen nodded. "The scenery is indeed nice. You can say that you have the whole Bincheng under your feet." He Zhenshen's expression suddenly became serious. "Mr. Su, what I said about having the whole Bincheng under your feet is just a feeling now. But if you cooperate with me, this feeling will come true. If we join forces, we can take over the whole Bincheng and put the whole Bincheng under our feet. What do you think?" He Zhenshen was full of heroic spirit, staring at Su Chen closely. There was encouragement and appreciation in his eyes. At the same time, there was also a hidden threat. If Su Chen dared to say no, there would definitely be a storm next. Chapter 54 I Want to Touch You. Zhao's catering group. In the president's office, Zhou Wanqiu was in a very bad mood. Although she wanted to concentrate on her work, her mind was always full of random thoughts. One moment it was a red Ferrari sports car, the next it was a pink Mercedes-Benz G, and now there was a black and white Bentley. Bang! Zhou Wanqiu slammed her pen. The next moment, she picked up the phone. Hello, is this the security department? I'm Zhou Wanqiu. Check for me, what is the license plate number of the black and white Bentley that just stopped in front of our group? If the camera can't see it, go to the shop downstairs and ask them to check their surveillance. Click. The phone was hung up. Zhou Wanqiu waited quietly. Soon, the office phone rang again. It was a call from the security department. Zhou Wanqiu answered and hung up quickly. Her face was a little gloomy. It turned out to be the car of He Zhenchen from his catering group. Why did this old bastard call Su Chen away? Could it be that Su Chen has some secret dealings with him? Zhou Wanqiu frowned. You are such a good fellow, Su Chen. Not only are you flirting with other women outside, you have even learned the tricks of industrial espionage. Zhou Wanqiu was so angry that his teeth itched. Su Chen didn't know that Zhou Wanqiu had hated him again. At this moment, he stood side by side with He Zhenchen, looking at the scenery outside the window together. The originally tall buildings became extremely small, the cars on the road also became like ants. Standing here, it really makes people feel heroic. Su Chen had to admit that He Zhenchen's office was indeed more impressive than Zhou Wanqiu's. He Zhenchen smiled. Su Chen, I have the financial strength, and you have the top military force. If we cooperate, even Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng, will not be our opponent. Let's join forces to conquer the entire Bincheng. How about it? Su Chen had no expression on his face and asked indifferently, I want to know, if I join hands with you, how will you deal with Zhao's catering group? He Zhenchen said coldly, Zhao's catering group is the biggest rival of his catering group in Bincheng, and its end must be swallowed up by me. However, by then, I can arrange for you to be the chairman of Zhao's catering group. Su Chen raised his eyebrows and said without comment, what about Zhou Wanqiu, Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Rangchang? They will not sit idly by and watch all this happen. Ha ha ha. He Zhenchen laughed. Don't worry, I will arrange these people properly. They can die in a car accident due to brake failure. They can be burned to death in a house fire. They can be accidentally electrocuted to death. Everyone will die normally accidentally, He Zhenchen said with a smile, but his eyes were full of murderous light. Don't leave anyone. Su Chen's eyes narrowed. He Zhenchen sneered, as a family, we should always be in good order. After all, the 3 generations of the Zhao family are quite powerful. Zhao Rangchang started from scratch and created this huge foundation. Zhao Pingjiang is now at the helm, and he is also safe and sound. Zhou Wanqiu of the 3rd generation, although a woman, has shown her talent. None of these 3 people can be let go. Otherwise, if the grass is not uprooted, it will grow again in the spring breeze. Su Chen had a blank expression. It seems that chairman he has done a lot of this kind of thing. He Zhenchen did not comment and said, people always have to climb up. If someone blocks the way, you have to push them away. If they are not strong and fall down when pushed, then I can't do anything. Looking at He Zhenchen's shameless appearance, Su Chen sneered in his heart. This He Zhenchen can still find such a reason for his cruelty, which is really amazing. Su Chen, what do you think? Cooperate with me? He Zhenchen continued to bewitch. However, Su Chen shook his head gently. I don't want to cooperate with you, but I'm interested in doing something else. He Zhenchen's smile faded. What do you want to do? Su Chen smiled and said, I want to push you and see if you will fall down. He Zhenchen's face changed drastically in an instant. The next second, He Zhenchen suddenly stepped back and quickly distanced himself from Su Chen. Su Chen's expression was calm, and he didn't make any moves. He Zhenchen said sternly, Su Chen, I advise you to think it over. If you cooperate with me, you will not only be second to none in Bincheng, but also get a big group like Zhao's catering. If you continue to go against me, I guarantee that you can't leave my office standing. Su Chen asked calmly. Really? He Zenshin sneered and said, why do you think I asked you to come to me? After that, He Zenshin clapped his hands. Suddenly, more than a dozen men in suits rushed out of the door. Just relying on a dozen Mingjin warriors? Su Chen's expression was indifferent. He Zenshin sneered, they are just standing there to cheer. The next moment, 7 or 8 men walked in again. Liu Zuan and Scarface were among them. Among them, the most eye-catching were 4 strong men who looked similar, and they looked like quadruplets. These 4 men wore headbands of different colors on their heads. They were all tall, with knotty muscles and a very tough temperament. He Zenshin laughed wildly. Su Chen, in order to deal with you, I sent out the 4 great kings in my hands. Under the 9 springs, you should be proud of yourself. The 4 great kings are all masters of dark energy, and each of them is not weaker than Liu Zuan. The 4 of them joined forces, and it's seamless. No matter how powerful you are, you can't escape death. Su Chen's expression was indifferent. You seem to have enough confidence in them? Seeing Su Chen's reaction, He Zenshin felt a little uneasy. He waved his hand fiercely. Catch them for me, dead or alive. Suddenly, Scarface and a dark energy master rushed over. Su Chen flashed and kicked him with a whip kick. Bang, bang. With 2 loud noises, the 2 scar-faced men flew backwards. Everyone was stunned. These were 2 dark force martial artists, and they couldn't even survive a single move. Come on. Come on together. The excitement on He Zenshin's face instantly turned into caution. Then, Liu Zuan and the 4 great kings and others rushed up together. The 4 great kings were even more precise in their positions, and they seemed to be cooperating with each other, blocking all of Su Chen's escape routes. However, Su Chen had no intention of retreating at all. He dodged Liu Zuan's kick and then punched out. Suddenly, Liu Zuan was ejected like a cannonball. Bang! Liu Zuan's body slammed hard against the French window. The glass, which was originally very solid, suddenly had spider web-like cracks. The glass of this kind of high-rise building has a very high hardness. Conventional methods cannot leave any traces at all. However, Su Chen only punched out such cracks. Moreover, it was through Liu Zuan's body. How powerful is this Su Chen? He Zenshin was so scared that his legs went weak. Kill him. Originally, He Zenshin was still thinking about capturing Su Chen alive. Now it seems that there is no hope at all. The 4 great kings rushed over together. The 4 of them really had a tacit understanding and attacked together to block all of Su Chen's space. In the blink of an eye, the 4 of them grabbed Su Chen's hands and feet. It seemed that they had completely controlled him. He Zenshin was instantly overjoyed. In the face of absolute strength, your cooperation is just a child's play. Su sneered. The next second, he raised his hands and feet like lightning. Bang, 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 bang. 4 consecutive loud noises. The 4 great kings instantly turned into 4 cannonballs and flew backwards. 1 force defeats 10 skills. No matter how well a few straws are woven, they can't stop a speeding car. Boom. The 4 great kings flew in all directions, smashing a lot of furniture before falling to the ground. One by one, they fainted on the ground. The other dozen warriors and bodyguards swallowed their saliva and looked timid. Finally, at He Zenshin's urging, he gritted his teeth and rushed towards Su Chen. As a result, in less than 10 seconds, they all fell to the ground again. In an instant, nearly 20 people were lying in the huge chairman's office. Only Su Chen and He Zenshin stood opposite each other. Su Chen walked straight towards He Zenshin with a faint smile on his face. He Zenshin trembled all over and wanted to escape, but his legs were like lead and it was difficult to move. Su Chen stepped forward and patted He Zenshin on the shoulder. He Zenshin, don't you like to pick on others? Now, I'm picking on you. What do you think? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55. The family should be in good order. He Zenshin showed a smile that was uglier than crying. He had imagined that Su Chen would be very powerful, but he didn't expect that he would be so terrifying. All his warriors went up, but they were all knocked down. but Su Chen seemed to be playing. At this moment, he really felt fear. The young man in front of him had the strength to kill him at any time. Su Chen, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done anything to you. Let me go. I promise I will never embarrass you again in the future. He Zenshin begged for mercy. Su Chen looked at He Zenshin coldly. Actually, I'm not angry about how you want to deal with me. Because I know you can't do it at all. But you just told me how to deal with the Zhou family, which makes me not let you go easily. He Zenshin's pupils shrank. He now understood that the Zhou family was Su Chen's Achilles heel. But just now, he said so many ways to deal with the Zhou family and said that the family should be neat and tidy. A drop of cold sweat slid down He Zenshin's forehead. Bang! He Zenshin knelt on the ground and begged bitterly, Su Chen, I was just talking nonsense. I swear, I will never threaten the Zhou family in the future. Please, let me go. Su Chen looked at He Zenshin coldly and said lightly, I don't believe you. He Zenshin turned around and tried to run. Bang! Su Chen stepped forward and kicked him over. He took out a porcelain bottle from his arms, poured out a black pill, and stuffed it into He Zenshin's mouth. What is this? He Zenshin looked panicked and wanted to spit it out. However, the pill melted in his mouth and disappeared in a blink of an eye. The next second, ah! He Zenshin screamed in pain. Then, the whole person rolled on the ground. I saw a bulge passing over He Zenshin's skin. After that, it moved along his acupuncture points and meridians like an earthworm. He Zenshin was in so much pain that he almost soaked his clothes with cold sweat. Please, let me go. He Zenshin was shocked and scared, struggling and begging. Su Chen tapped He Zenshin casually. Instantly, the pain in He Zenshin's body stopped. He collapsed directly to the ground. What did you give me to eat? He Zenshin looked at Su Chen with fear in his eyes. Such a method was incredible and too scary. If he had known that Su Chen was so powerful, He Zenshin would never provoke him. Su Chen said lightly, it's nothing, just a poison I researched myself. It's not very complicated, just a mixture of 20 or 30 kinds of poisons. Within 1 month, you transfer all the shares of his catering group to the Zhou family. Otherwise, you will die. He Zenshin's eyes widened, his face pale. What? You want me to give all my property to the Zhou family? Why, you don't want to. I allow you to leave 5 million for yourself. Is that enough? Su Chen said lightly. He Zenshin whispered, but my assets are nearly 10 billion. So what? Su Chen sneered. You swore yourself that you would never do anything to the Zhou family again. I just helped you make sure that you don't have the ability to do anything to the Zhou family. He Zenshin struggled, lowered his head and said nothing. Su Chen didn't care. If you don't believe it, you can delay it for a month. By then, my poison will naturally take effect. By then, you can just reunite with your brother and son. After all, you also said that the family should be complete. Facing Su Chen's ridicule, He Zenshin gritted his teeth. Of course, you can also find other masters and miracle doctors to try to detoxify you. But remember to tell them to be careful. The antidote ratios of these 20 or 30 poisons must be correct. Otherwise, they may be splashed with blood. Su Chen said lightly. He Zenshin was so scared that his body trembled. I know. Chairman He, can you trouble me to find a driver to take me back? Su Chen said politely. He Zenshin said quickly. Yes, yes. Soon, a driver came up and took Su Chen out. He Zenshin watched Su Chen's figure completely disappear, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Su Chen, you bastard, you forced me to do this. He Zenshin looked at the door and gritted his teeth. He thought for a long time, picked up his phone, and dialed a number he had never dared to call. Beep beep beep. The call was connected. He Zenshin said in a deep voice, Mr. Zhou, I'm He Zenshin. I have thought it through, and I want to meet you. A frivolous laugh came from the other end of the phone. Ha ha ha. Chairman He, I have been waiting for you for a long time. He Zenshin frowned. I can accept your investment, Mr. Zhou, but you have to do me a favor. Mr. Zhou smiled and said, yes, I'll wait for you. Let's talk. He Zenshin hung up the phone. He asked someone to wake up Liu Zuan and the Four Kings. Liu Zuan and others looked ashamed. I'm sorry, Mr. He, we are no match for that Su Chen. Liu Zuan lowered his head. He Zhenshen's face turned pale and he said, "It's not your fault. That kid is too powerful. But it's okay. I've asked Master Zhao to deal with him." Liu Zuan's face changed. "Mr. He, absolutely not. Master Zhao has always wanted to control your company by investing in his catering. If you take the initiative to rely on him like this, I'm afraid." He Zhenshen smiled bitterly. "Su Chen gave me poison and threatened me to transfer the shares to the Zhao family within a month. Otherwise, let me die. I have no choice." Liu Zuan was stunned. Poison? In addition to martial arts, did Su Chen also practice poison techniques? He Zhenshen waved his hands. "I don't know. Anyway, that's what he said. Apart from relying on Master Zhao, I have no other choice. The Zhao family really found a good protector." Liu Zuan was speechless. The four great kings beside him also lowered their heads. At this time, in the Zhao catering group, Zhou Wanqiu didn't know He Zhenshen's sigh. At this moment, Su Chen, in her eyes, was not a good protector, but a traitor who colluded with the enemy. Zhou Wanqiu stared coldly out of the window, wanting to see when Su Chen would come back. Soon, Zhou Wanqiu saw the black and white Bentley. Su Chen slowly got out of the car. Zhou Wanqiu picked up the phone, zoomed in 50 times, and took a photo. "Asshole, I'll see how you can quibble later." Zhou Wanqiu gritted his teeth. Su Chen stepped out of the Bentley. The Bentley quickly disappeared. The driver had also seen the miserable state of He Zhenshen's office and knew that Su Chen was a ruthless man. Su Chen smiled. He didn't kill anyone on this trip, so what was there to be afraid of? If it weren't for the fact that many people saw me entering the He's catering group, I could have killed He Zhenshen directly, and I wouldn't have to give him a month. I hope He Zhenshen will be more sober and stop making trouble. Otherwise, don't blame me for sending his family back to health. Su Chen thought secretly. Su Chen would not be soft-hearted towards a man like He Zhenshen whose hands were stained with blood. If there weren't so many people in the He group, he would definitely go on a killing spree, just like he did in the Black Dragon Society. Su Chen walked into the Zhao group building. Ding ling ling. His cell phone suddenly rang. He answered it. "Are you back?" Zhou Wanqiu's cold voice rang. Chapter 56. Another luxury car. Su Chen was startled. Zhou Wanqiu's voice didn't sound very happy. Was she going to vent her anger on him again this time? "I'm back. I just came downstairs." Su Chen answered honestly. Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, "Come directly to my office." Su Chen responded. He quickened his pace. Dong dong dong. Su Chen knocked on the door. "Come in." Su Chen stepped into the president's office. Zhou Wanqiu's pretty face was frosty. What's wrong with this sister? Who owes her money again? Su Chen thought to himself. Zhou Wanqiu stared at Su Chen intently, without saying a word. Su Chen didn't say anything either, and the two looked at each other in silence. Bang! Zhou Wanqiu slapped the desk. "Su Chen, don't you want to say something to me?" Zhou Wanqiu's expression was cold. A pair of phoenix eyes stared straight at Su Chen. Su Chen was in pain. "What are you talking about? What's wrong with this sister again? Is she so bored? She still wants to hear what he has to say." These words rolled in Su Chen's mind, but he didn't say them out loud. Bang! Zhou Wanqiu slammed the desk again. "Su Chen, are you playing dumb with me? Do you think I don't know?" Zhou Wanqiu's eyes widened. Su Chen's mind was racing. What did Zhou Wanqiu know that made her so angry? "Boss Zhao, when I was detoxifying you, I didn't see you naked." Su Chen tried to explain. "Shut up." Zhou Wanqiu's pretty face flushed with anger. "Am I talking about this?" Su Chen was stunned. "I'm asking you, who did you meet just now? What happened?" Zhou Wanqiu gave up questioning and went straight to the point. Su Chen realized that this was what Zhou Wanqiu wanted to ask. "That is just a friend." Su Chen hesitated. He was a little entangled whether he should tell Zhou Wanqiu about these things. For example, He Zhenshen wanted to play dirty tricks on her and the Zhao family, and for example, he had forced He Zhenshen to hand over the shares. Su Chen was worried that, even if he told these things, Zhou Wanqiu would only be frightened, or simply not believe them, and it would be useless. However, when Zhou Wanqiu saw Su Chen hesitating, he was immediately furious. "Good Su Chen. You still dare to play dumb with me until now, are you He Zhenshin? I didn't expect that you would betray me so quickly. Next, are you going to tie me up and send me to He Zhenshin? Zhou Wanqiu's words were like a string of cannonballs, confusing Su Chen. She actually knew it was He Zhenshin. Su Chen said helplessly, okay, I admit it. It was He Zhenshin. He wanted to bribe me to help him deal with the Zhou family. He also said that after the success, he would let me be the chairman of Zhou group. Su Chen told the truth. Bullshit. Zhou Wanqiu cursed. Su Chen said, yes. I wanted to scold him like that at that time. Zhou Wanqiu glared at Su Chen. I was scolding you. Who do you think you are? He Zhenshin tried to win you over and promised you to be the chairman of Zhou group. You are so shameless. Su Chen was stunned and said, that's what he said. Haha. Zhou Wanqiu sneered. Okay, go on. Su Chen continued, I rejected him. He sent a bunch of bodyguards to deal with me, and I knocked all his bodyguards down. Then, I forced him to transfer the shares of his catering group to the Zhou family within a month. After saying it in one breath, Su Chen also breathed a sigh of relief. Zhou Wanqiu was mocking. Haha. Su Chen, I didn't expect that you are actually a good storyteller. Su Chen was completely helpless. He had to say it. He told the truth, but Zhou Wanqiu didn't believe it. I'm telling the truth, believe it or not. Su Chen was too lazy to explain and turned away. Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. This bumpkin actually dared to treat me like this. You bastard, you must have betrayed me. Zhou Wanqiu was furious. Su Chen, on the other hand, had no psychological burden and returned to the secretariat office with a natural expression. In the office, everything was normal. Fatty Liu Pan continued to flirt with girls, or should I say, lick them. Zhang Yu played games, and the little girl Su Jiao continued to put on makeup. And Xianyang was practicing standing still. Su Chen saw that Xianyang's basics were actually quite good, and now he was in good shape. In the afternoon, Su Chen received a call. It turned out to be from Chen Zhongyi. When he saved Zhou Wanqiu in the Black Dragon Society last time, Chen Zhongyi promised to take the blame for Su Chen's destruction of the Black Dragon Society. At that time, Su Chen had promised him that he could come to him if he had any problems. Could it be that Chen Zhongyi had something to ask of him? Su Chen picked up the phone. Hello, Mr. Su. I'm Chen Zhongyi. Chen Zhongyi was very polite on the other side. Su Chen said, Mr. Chen, what's the matter? Chen Zhongyi said, Mr. Su, I have something that I want to trouble you with. I wonder if it's convenient for you tonight. Tonight? Su Chen thought about it, and he probably thought Zhou Wanqiu would not be in a good mood when she saw him today. Instead of taking Zhou Wanqiu's car after get off work and seeing her cold face, it's better not to meet. I'm fine tonight. Su Chen said. Chen Zhongyi said, then I'll send someone to pick you up later, and we'll talk about it when we meet, okay? Su Chen agreed. The two hung up the phone. Su Chen was a little confused. Why would Chen Zhongyi, the big boss of the underground forces, come to him for something? It was almost time to get off work, and Su Chen sent a message to Zhou Wanqiu. Mr. Zhou, you don't have to wait for me after get off work. I have something to do and need to go out. Please help me tell my grandfather. Thank you. Zhou Wanqiu replied quickly. Go to hell. Su Chen saw the message and smiled. Think about it from another perspective. Having a wife who is always angry for no reason will at least not be boring. At the end of the get off work day, Su Chen received a message from Chen Zhongyi, so he clocked in and walked out. Brother Chen, let's go for a drink tonight. I'll treat you. Zhang Yu greeted. Su Chen waved his hand. No, I have other things to do tonight. Liu Pan raised his head and smiled. Do you think Brother Chen is like us, just idling around every day? He's very busy. Zhang Yu, why don't you treat me? As long as there are young ladies, I will definitely go. Get lost. Zhang Yu scolded with a smile. Su Chen walked out of the group building and walked towards the roadside. A Mercedes-Benz Maybach was parked on the side of the road. It was the car sent by Chen Zhongyi to pick up Su Chen. When Su Chen approached, Chen Zhongyi got out of the car and opened the door for Su Chen himself. Mr. Chen, you're polite. Su Chen said, striding in. Chen Zhangyi smiled and said, "It's Milner." Then, he also got into the car. In the president's office on the top floor of the Zhou Group building, Zhou Wanqiu zoomed in 50 times with her phone and looked at the scene in front of her with a face full of shock. Another luxury car. Maybach. What's wrong with this bumpkin? Why are there so many luxury cars coming to pick him up? Is this another car of his Zhenshen? Or another rich woman? Zhou Wanqiu wanted to call Su Chen immediately and ask him to explain clearly who these different luxury cars belonged to. However, her inner pride made her never take the initiative to speak. In the Maybach, Su Chen and Chen Zhangyi sat in the back seat. No wonder people often say that driving a BMW is better than riding in a Mercedes-Benz. The riding experience of this Mercedes-Benz is indeed more comfortable. Su Chen smiled. Chen Zhangyi quickly said, "If Mr. Su wants, I can give you a similar car." "No need." Su Chen smiled and waved his hand. "I don't have a driver's license at all, and I can't drive." Chen Zhangyi smiled. "That's easy. I'll arrange a driver for you. Isn't that enough?" Su Chen smiled. "Thank you. But I'd better not be so high profile. After all, I'm just a secretary, and I drive a Mercedes with a driver, which is too eye-catching." Chen Zhangyi then remembered that Su Chen didn't like to be high profile. A trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes. Chapter 57. Defeated. Last time at the Black Dragon Society base, Chen Zhangyi witnessed how powerful Su Chen was. After that, he had been trying to please Su Chen, but he just couldn't find the opportunity. Now it seems that it is really difficult. Su Chen is a person who doesn't want anything. Chen Zhangyi was helpless. Su Chen went straight to the point and said, "Mr. Chen, please tell me what you want to talk to me about this time." Hearing this, Chen Zhangyi's face looked a little ugly. Su Chen saw Chen Zhangyi's face and asked, "What's wrong? Is the matter very difficult?" Chen Zhangyi shook his head. "It's not difficult, Mr. Su. It's mainly because this matter is not my own business, so it's a little difficult to speak." Su Chen immediately understood. It seems that Chen Zhangyi is not in trouble. It's someone else's problem, and Chen Zhangyi asked him to solve it, and Chen Zhangyi asked him to help. Su Chen smiled. "No problem. Tell me first." He had promised Chen Zhangyi that he could come to him for help if he had any problems. Although this matter is not Chen Zhangyi's business now, as long as he opens his mouth, Su Chen can be regarded as repaying a favor. Repaying favors with favors and revenge with hatred. This is Su Chen's consistent principle. Chen Zhangyi said, "It's like this. I developed underground in Bincheng, rose from humble beginnings, and have received favors from others. This time, it is to fulfill the benefactor's promise. My benefactor, his son offended someone in his early years, and now the other party came to seek revenge. He was afraid of trouble at home, so he asked me to help. It's just that his opponent is strong. I'm afraid I can't beat him, so I want to invite Mr. Su to prepare for an emergency." Su Chen nodded. It turned out that Chen Zhangyi was also repaying a favor. "Okay, I promise you," Su Chen said lightly. Chen Zhangyi was overjoyed. "Thank you, Mr. Su." Soon, the car stopped in a villa area. Chen Zhangyi got out of the car and led the way, while the driver and Su Chen followed behind. The driver, named Zhang Bio, is the strongest fighter under Chen Zhangyi. Chen Zhangyi brought Zhang Bio with him, which basically represents the highest fighting force of Zhangyiatang. Approaching the villa area, Su Chen found that there were many thugs of Zhangyiatang lying in ambush around. Chen Zhangyi explained, "Although these thugs may be useless, but after all, my benefactor is inside, so I should naturally go all out." Su Chen nodded. Although Chen Zhangyi is an underground force in Bincheng, he has good character. No wonder he named his force Zhangyiatang. Chen Zhangyi led Su Chen and Zhang Bio and walked into the most luxurious villa. What surprised Su Chen was that there was no door in the lobby of this villa. As soon as the three entered the lobby, a joyful voice rang out, "Zhou Chen, you are here." Su Chen looked over and saw a white-haired old man coming towards Chen Zhangyi. Behind the white-haired old man, there was also a middle-aged man. Chen Zhangyi bowed politely and said, "Mr. Li, I'm here. As long as I, Chen Zhangyi, am still alive, I will not let that thief hurt you at all." Mr. Li was very moved. At this time, the middle-aged man on the side said, "Mr. Chen, you said you would invite a master to help you. Where is he?" A trace of displeasure flashed across Chen Zhangai's face. He hurriedly introduced, "Mr. Li, this gentleman is Su Chen. He is the master I mentioned. Su Chen, this is my benefactor Mr. Li Xiaolei, and this is Mr. Li's son Li Chunren." Before Chen Zhangai finished speaking, Li Chunren said coldly, "Chen Zhangai, what do you mean? You said you would invite a master, but you invited a young boy. Aren't you teasing us?" Chen Zhangai was immediately annoyed. At this time, Li Xiaolei scolded, "Chunren, how can you talk like that? At this time, those who can come to help our Li family are all benefactors of our Li family. Look at you, what kind of attitude is this?" Li Chunren quickly lowered his head, but there was still a bit of disdain between his eyebrows. After that, Li Xiaolei apologized to Chen Zhangai. "Xiao Chen, I'm really sorry. Chunren is also under too much pressure, so his emotions are a little out of control." As he spoke, Li Xiaolei looked at Su Chen and bowed slightly. "My friend Su Chen, please forgive me." Su Chen smiled and nodded, but didn't say anything. In fact, he didn't care about the attitude of the Li family. He just came to repay Chen Zhangai's favor, and as for the attitudes of other people, they were secondary. Li Xiaolei said a few polite words to Chen Zhangai, and then asked Chen Zhangai and Su Chen to sit down. At this time, Li Chunren whispered to Li Xiaolei, "Dad, I knew Chen Zhangai was unreliable. Fortunately, I invited a real master." The people present had good hearing, so they naturally heard what Li Chunren said. Chen Zhangai's face looked a little bad. Li Chunren's words clearly showed that he did not trust him. Li Xiaolei smiled apologetically at Chen Zhangai, turned around and asked Li Chunren, "Chunren, did you invite a master? Who did you invite?" Obviously, in Li Xiaolei's heart, he was actually a little disappointed with Su Chen brought by Chen Zhangai. Li Chunren raised the corners of his mouth and said with a little pride, "I invited Wang Zhengyang, the owner of Zhengyang Boxing Gym. Mr. Wang Zhengyang. His martial arts skills are amazing. Dozens of ordinary people can hardly take advantage of him." Zhengyang Boxing Gym? Su Chen was slightly stunned. He didn't know that there was such a martial arts venue in Bincheng. Chen Zhangai's face changed slightly. He had fought with Wang Zhengyang, the owner of Zhengyang Boxing Gym, and ended up losing miserably. "Mr. Su, Wang Zhengyang's Zhengyang fist is very powerful. Maybe, we really don't need it today." Chen Zhangai's face was slightly depressed. Li Xiaolei, on the other hand, smiled brightly, "So Director Wang will come, then we don't have to worry." With his father's approval, Li Chunren looked even more proud and glanced coldly at Chen Zhangai. Chen Zhangai said nothing more. He was defeated by Wang Zhengyang, and there was really nothing to say. Speak of the devil, and here comes the devil. The owner of Zhengyang Boxing Gym, Mr. Wang Zhengyang is here. A loud shout came from outside the door. Li Chunren and Li Xiaolei suddenly stood up from their seats. With a smile on their faces, they went straight to the door to greet him. Originally, Chen Zhangai also wanted to follow the Li family father and son to greet him. But when he thought of the scene, when he was defeated by Wang Zhengyang and humiliated by him, he was unwilling to stand up to greet him. As for Su Chen, he didn't know what this man did, let alone pay attention. "Mr. Chen, you seem to have some opinions about Wang Zhengyang?" Su Chen saw some clues and asked. Chen Zhangai's face was embarrassed. "I fought with him once before, but he defeated me and humiliated me. Mr. Su, this Wang Zhengyang is arrogant and has a proud personality. Please bear with me for a while." Su Chen smiled. "Arrogant? Is he as arrogant as the wild tiger in the forest behind the village? In the end, he was beaten by me and did whatever he wanted." Soon, Li Xiaolei and Li Chunren respectfully led two men in training clothes in. The two men, one middle-aged and one young, looked somewhat similar, both with a bit of arrogance. Chen Zhangai introduced to Su Chen, "Mr. Su, the middle-aged man is Wang Zhengyang. The young man is his son, Wang Dang." Su Chen nodded. The four of them walked into the hall. As they walked, Wang Zhengyang was still making harsh remarks. "Don't worry, Mr. Li, brother Chunren, I'm here today, so that man won't be arrogant." Suddenly, he finished speaking. He had already seen Chen Zhangai, Su Chen and Zhang Bao sitting in the room. "Hey, Isn't this the famous Zhangai Hall boss Chen Zhangai? Wang Zhengyang looked teasing, turned around and asked Li Chunren, "Brother Chunren, you invited me here, why did you ask my subordinates to come here?" In an instant, Chen Zhangai's face turned ugly. Chapter 58, Life and Death Battle. Li Chunren was a little embarrassed. He rolled his eyes and explained, "Master Wang, I'm worried that my rival will bring more men with him. I'm relieved that you can deal with my rival. But if he has a lot of men, I can have more protection if I have more people here." Wang Zhengyang's son Wang Dong laughed. "Ha ha ha, so he's here to help my dad. But I don't think he's even needed to help. After all, I'm here, and it's not his turn to help my dad." As he spoke, Wang Dong glanced at Chen Zhangai with disdain. Chen Zhangai was furious. Su Chen looked at Wang Zhengyang and Wang Dong with cold eyes. The father and son were really like what Chen Zhangai said, arrogant and domineering. At this time, Wang Dong looked at Su Chen, who was sitting above Chen Zhangai. What does this young boy do? Isn't he brought by Chen Zhangai to broaden his horizons? There will be blood in a while. Don't be scared to pee your pants. Wang Dong sneered. Li Xiaolei was about to say a few nice words to ease the atmosphere. However, Li Chunren spoke first. "This is the expert invited by Chen Zhangai. He said that, if there is a situation that he cannot handle, he will let Mr. Su Chen take action." Li Chunren said politely, but his expression and tone were full of disdain. Li Xiaolei frowned slightly. Although his son is middle-aged, he still acts rashly. He scolded him many times, but he never learned his lesson, and is still the same now. Today's enemy is the disaster left by his absurd behavior back then. Now that he has said it, Li Xiaolei can't say anything else. "Chen Zhangai, did you lose your mind after being defeated by me? This young boy, even if he has been practicing since his mother's womb, how far can he go?" Ha ha ha. Wang Zhengyang laughed. Chen Zhangai said coldly, "Wang Zhengyang, shut up. You are not the one who can judge Mr. Su. Oh, Mr. Su. Come on. Let me see how much weight your Mr. Su has." Wang Dong laughed coldly. As he spoke, Wang Dong attacked Su Chen directly. "Mr. Wang." Li Xiaolei wanted to stop him, but Wang Dong ignored his obstruction. Wang Zhengyang stood aside and had no intention of stopping him. Chen Zhangai's face instantly turned ugly. He invited Su Chen. Wang Dong's attack on Su Chen was to slap him in the face. "You are so bold." Chen Zhangai stood up and went to meet him. Facing Chen Zhangai's attack, Wang Dong was not afraid at all, but excited. "Come on. Let me see how far my father's defeated general has become now." Wang Dong punched him directly. Zhengyang fist. The force was like lightning, and the momentum was amazing. Su Chen could see clearly that a dark force was condensed on Wang Dong's fist. Wang Dong is only in his early 30s, but he has already reached the level of a dark power master. No wonder he is so arrogant. On the side, Li Xiaolei was a little anxious and wanted to stop him. But Wang Zhengyang said, "Mr. Li, I think it's better to let them compete. After all, we may need their cooperation in the battle later. Now, it's good to let them get to know each other first." Li Xiaolei sighed and finally gave up stopping him. A young man is better than a strong man. Wang Dong is just in his early 30s, and he is full of energy. His pair of iron fists are as fierce as a tiger coming down the mountain. Chen Zhangai did not dare to neglect it at all. He fought steadily and faced Wang Dong's violent offensive without any carelessness. Wang Dong's fist shadows were like a flood. Fortunately, Chen Zhangai won by being calm and immovable, and he resolved it steadily with one move after another. But it seemed that Wang Dong had the upper hand and was suppressing Chen Zhangai. Li Chunren said with disdain, "This Chen Zhangai, he usually brags about how great he is, but now he is just like the son of Master Wang. Haha, it's really funny." Li Xiaolei looked at his son with dissatisfaction. Wang Zhengyang looked proud. Back then, he defeated Chen Zhangai. If his son defeated Chen Zhangai again today, it would be a good story in Bincheng's martial arts world. Zhang Bao was a little anxious. "Mr. Su, the boss feels a little overwhelmed. Should I make a move?" Su Chen said lightly. "Don't worry. The winner in the end must be Mr. Chen." Hearing Su Chen's words, Zhang Bao was a little skeptical. On the side, Li Chunren sneered. "How ignorant. It's time, and you are still daydreaming here. Don't you see how embarrassed Chen Zhangyi is now? As soon as he finished speaking, in the battle, Chen Zhangyi suddenly seized a floor in Wang Dong, punched Wang Dong in the chest, and knocked him back. In the blink of an eye, Wang Dong fell into a disadvantage. Chen Zhangyi pressed forward step by step, and instantly stepped forward, trying to subdue Wang Dong. Li Chunren was slapped in the face, and was very embarrassed. At this time, Wang Zhengyang roared, "How dare you? You dare to attack my son?" As he said that, he punched Chen Zhangyi in the back. No one thought that Wang Zhengyang would suddenly attack. Moreover, it was a sneak attack. Chen Zhangyi turned around and hastily blocked Wang Zhengyang's punch. Bang, bang. Chen Zhangyi retreated several steps, and a trace of blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. Wang Zhengyang supported Wang Dong. Wang Dong was beaten back by Chen Zhangyi, and his face was obviously embarrassed. "Dad, let me go. I want to kill this old bastard. He took advantage of my carelessness to succeed. I'm going to take him down soon." Wang Dong's face was full of dissatisfaction. Wang Zhengyang held Wang Dong tightly. He had seen clearly that Wang Dong was not Chen Zhangyi's opponent at the moment. If he wanted to use Chen Zhangyi to gain fame, now was not the time. On the other side, Chen Zhangyi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said angrily, "Wang Zhengyang, you bastard. You actually attacked me." Wang Zhengyang said coldly, "You fought with my son, and you won. Why did you pursue the victory?" Chen Zhangyi said angrily, "Your son has the same dog temper as you. Look at him now. Is he convinced at all? If he is not completely subdued, I'm afraid he will just chase me and bite me like a mad dog. You are a mad dog. Chen Zhangyi, wait for me to practice for a few more years, and I will definitely take some parts from you," Wang Dong said viciously. A trace of viciousness flashed in Chen Zhangyi's eyes. He can become the underground boss of Bincheng, so he is naturally not an easy person. However, Wang Dong has a father, Wang Zhengyang, who is very powerful, and he has no choice. Wang Zhengyang saw Chen Zhangyi's expression and snorted coldly, "Chen Zhangyi, I think you seem to be a little dissatisfied. How about I play with you? A life and death fight is also okay." Chen Zhangyi's expression froze. Although, he just punched Wang Zhengyang just now. However, he could clearly sense that Wang Zhengyang was now much more powerful than before. And he had been developing his power and practicing martial arts over the years. He fell behind a lot because of multitasking. If he really fought a life and death battle with Wang Zhengyang, he would surely die. Chen Zhangyi was speechless and looked aggrieved. Wang Zhengyang and Wang Dong laughed. They were very satisfied with Chen Zhangyi's expression at this moment. At this time, Su Chen looked at Chen Zhangyi and asked calmly, "Mr. Chen, I can help you take on Wang Zhengyang's life and death battle. Do you want me to help?" Su Chen's tone was flat and his expression was serious. Chen Zhangyi was stunned. He understood what Su Chen meant. If he let Su Chen take on Wang Zhengyang's life and death battle for him, it would be a favor to him. In this way, the matter of protecting Li Xiaolei would be over. Chen Zhangyi hesitated. Chapter 59, A Slap, a Life. Chen Zhangyi thought about it, and finally gave up. "Mr. Su, forget it. Let's focus on protecting Mr. Li," Chen Zhangyi whispered. Su Chen smiled and said nothing. This Chen Zhangyi is really a good person. Even if he was humiliated, he always remembered to protect his benefactor Li Xiaolei first. Haha. It's so funny. This young boy actually wants to take on my father's life and death battle. He is really ignorant and fearless. Wang Dong laughed. Su Chen glanced at Wang Dong indifferently. In an instant, Wang Dong's heart trembled, and he felt like he was stared at by a wild beast, and his hair stood up instantly. The next moment, Su Chen's eyes had already turned away. Wang Dong was a little dazed, as if what he felt just now was an illusion. "What's the matter?" Wang Dong shook his head. His abnormality did not attract the attention of others. At this time, Li Xiaolei and Li Chunren were smiling and politely let Wang Zhengyang take the main seat. They had already seen how powerful Wang Zhengyang was, and their hearts, which were hanging, fell to the ground at this time. Wang Zhengyang asked, "By the way, Mr. Li, where does your enemy come from? What is his level of cultivation?" Speaking of the enemy, there was a hint of embarrassment on Li Chunren's face. HMPH. Li Xiaolei snorted coldly, it's all this brat's fault. When I was young, I didn't learn my lesson. I spent my days drinking and partying with a bunch of playboys, and was jealous of others everywhere. At that time, he had a dispute with a boy from another place over a beautiful woman. Relying on the large number of his men, he subdued the outsider, broke his leg, and slapped him 10 times. Now, that man came to my door, and left 10 slap marks on the door of my house. He also said, that one slap mark means one life, and he wants to kill 10 people in my family. Li Chunren looked embarrassed, but still pleaded, Master Wang, you must save my Li family. That bastard is too powerful. He came straight to my door, beat off my bodyguards with ease, and left 10 palm prints on the door in front of us. He also said to give us time, to let us hire anyone. He just wanted to see me unable to struggle. Everyone understood immediately. No wonder I didn't see the door of the villa when I entered the house just now. It turned out that the enemy had left a palm print on it. The Li family probably felt ashamed and took it down. Moreover, there were no women or children in the villa. They were probably hidden by the Li family. Wang Zhengyang said, Mr. Li, you should move the wooden door out first. I want to see the real level of that person. Li Chunlei hurried to arrange it. Soon, the 2 large wooden doors were taken down and carried directly to the hall of the villa. On the wooden door, there were 10 palm prints, like branding, deeply embedded in the wooden door, a full 2 centimeters. Wang Zhengyang stepped forward to check it out, and everyone followed to watch. Soon, Wang Zhengyang stood up. Okay, I already know this person's cultivation level. Wang Zhengyang said confidently. Li Chunren asked hurriedly, Master Wang, how strong is Wu Gang? Is he your opponent? Is this man called Wu Gang? Wang Zhengyang smiled faintly. His strength should be in the middle stage of dark energy. However, it is not enough to prove it, because I'm already in the late stage of dark energy. Dark energy. Hearing this word, Li Xiaolei asked hurriedly, Master Wang, can you explain it? Wang Zhengyang explained, martial arts practice starts with strengthening the body, strengthening the flesh, exercising the muscles and bones, and finally condensing a bright energy. At this time, you can be called a bright energy warrior. If you practice hard for many years, internalize the bright energy, and hurt people invisibly, you can be called a dark energy martial artist. A dark energy martial artist is already a master among masters. And this Wu Gang, that brotherly offended in his early years, is now a dark energy master. Li Xiaolei and Li Chunren were very shocked. Master Wang, the dark energy martial artist is so powerful, are you sure you can stop him? Li Chunren was a little worried. He didn't dare to put his life entirely on Wang Zhengyang. Wang Zhengyang pointed at the stone table next to him and asked instead of answering, Brotherly, do you think this wooden door is harder or this stone table is harder? Li Chunren was stunned. Wang Zhengyang smiled, raised his hand and gently pressed down on the stone table next to him. The stone table that was originally difficult to smash with a hammer was shattered by his light palm. The broken stones flew, and the stone powder fluttered. Li Chunren, who was close to the stone table, was a little embarrassed, but his eyes lit up. Wang Zhengyang's move really shocked him. Great. With Master Wang here, my Li family will have nothing to worry about. Ha ha ha. Li Chunren laughed non-stop. Li Xiaolei also breathed a sigh of relief. Wang Zhengyang's strength gave him infinite confidence. On the side, Su Chen smiled faintly. This Wang Zhengyang is just a straw bag. He broke the stone table, which does not prove that he is more powerful than Wu Gang. You know, Wu Gang controlled the dark energy and left a palm print on the wooden door, not smash the wooden door. This control over the dark power alone is not comparable to Wang Zhengyang. If Su Chen guessed correctly, Li Chunren's rival Wu Gang has already reached the stage of dark power mastery. However, the Li family father and son were unaware of this at the time and were still praising Wang Zhengyang. Wang Zhengyang enjoyed it very much. On the side, Wang Dong's mouth was even grinning to the sky. See, my father is a real master, not like some people who only put on airs. Haha. Wang Dong glanced at Su Chen and said. Chen Zhangyi had an ugly expression and turned around to apologize in a low voice. Mr. Su, I'm sorry, because of me, the Wang family father and son humiliated you so much. Don't worry, after this matter is over, I will go to Zhengyang boxing gym to make a break, and will not disturb your life. Su Chen said lightly. It doesn't matter. Chen Zhangyi wanted to say something. At this time, Su Chen said, he's coming. Chen Zhangyi was stunned, then reacted and looked outside the door. Soon, several screams sounded from outside the door. A trace of ugliness flashed across Chen Zhangyi's face. The people outside the door were all ambushed by him secretly, and it seemed that they had been killed. The father and son of the Li family, Wang Zhengyang and others also heard the abnormality outside, and hurriedly stood up to look outside. Dap, dap, dap. A rhythmic sound of metal hitting the ground was heard. He's coming. Li Chunren's voice was a little trembling. The next second, a man with long hair and a single crutch walked in staggeringly. The sound of da-da-da was the sound of the single crutch in his hand knocking on the ground. Seeing the person coming, Li Chunren said sternly, Wu Gang, I didn't expect you to be so arrogant and dare to come again. Wu Gang raised his head, his eyes full of mockery. Li Chunren, I said that, if I want you to die in the struggle, I will definitely give you enough time to struggle. As he spoke, Wu Gang turned his head and his eyes swept across the faces of everyone in the hall. Li Chunren, you are not stupid. You even know to let the female family members hide. Don't worry, I will find them one by one. One slap in the face, in exchange for a life, not one less. Wu Gang sneered. At this time, Li Xiaolei stood up and bowed deeply. He said sincerely, Mr. Wu, I was young and frivolous at the time and offended you. I apologize to you. It is better to resolve the grudge than to make it. Can you let our Li family go? I, Li Xiaolei, am willing to pay 1 billion to compensate for your losses. Haha. 1 billion. So rich. The smile on Wu Gang's face gradually became ferocious. At the beginning, your son dared to humiliate me like this because his family was rich. Is it great to be rich? Can money make up for the humiliation I suffered back then? I have practiced martial arts for more than 10 years, and what I have been thinking about day and night and persisting is this moment today. You still want to take money to write it off? Dream on. Ha ha ha. Wu Gang laughed wildly. Chapter 60. Can you give me a face? A trace of helplessness flashed across Li Xiaolei's face. Wu Gang was unwilling to reconcile. Wu Gang glanced at Su Chen, Chen Zhangyi, Wang Zhengyang and others with a cold look, and a mocking smile appeared on his lips. I asked you to get help, but you brought these rotten sweet potatoes and eggs. His mocking tone made the father and son of the Wang family furious. Wang Dong rushed forward and shouted, where did you come from, you bastard? You are just a dark force, and you dare to look down on me. Look at my Zhengyang fist. Wang Dong took a stance, and his body was like a backbow, and he shot directly at Wu Gang. Dap. Wu Gang smiled coldly, and slammed his metal crutch into the ground. The next moment, his figure flashed, like a flash of lightning, and he collided with Wang Dong in the blink of an eye. The two of them staggered, and Wu Gang's punch was ordinary, meeting Wang Dong's fist. Donja, be careful. Wang Zhengyang's face suddenly changed, and he shouted. Bang! Wang Dong was struck by lightning, and his body flew backwards. His fist exploded directly, blood was dripping, and the bones were visible. Ah! Wang Dong cried out in pain. He hugged his arm, and rolled on the ground. Son. Wang Zhengyang rushed forward, and helped Wang Dong up. Wang Dong's right hand was completely useless. Wang Zhengyang's heart was bleeding. Wang Dong had just turned 30, but he had already become a master of dark energy. He might be able to touch that realm in the future. However, at this moment, it was all destroyed by Wu Gang. Wang Zhengyang's eyes were red. Asshole, you ruined my son. Wu Gang mocked. You are not as skilled as others. What's there to complain about? Your son is just like you. He can only be a canary in this small city. How come he have seen real blood and fighting? Bullshit. Go to hell. Wang Zhengyang seemed to be poked in the sore spot and rushed directly towards Wu Gang. Wu Gang looked indifferent. He raised his crutches and fought with Wang Zhengyang. Wang Zhengyang's Zhengyang fist was naturally much stronger than Wang Dong's. Although the two of them were fighting with fists and feet, they made the sound of metal hitting each other. There was an amazing momentum between their fists and feet. The two of them were fighting and moving at the same time, and all the furniture they touched was instantly shattered. Li Xiaolei and Li Chunren quickly hid away. The two of them were horrified. The dark power strong man is so terrifying. This is not just two people fighting. This is clearly two humanoid tyrannosaurus fighting. The battle was very fierce. But soon, Wang Zhengyang's fists weakened. Bang! Wang Zhengyang was kicked in the thigh by Wu Gang without being careful. Wang Zhengyang's movements became slower. Wu Gang's attack became more fierce, and Wang Zhengyang blocked left and right, looking very embarrassed. Seeing that he was about to be seriously injured by Wu Gang, Wang Zhengyang could no longer care about his face, and hurriedly shouted, "Chen Zhangyi, are you still watching the show? Come and help me." Chen Zhangyi said coldly, "Don't you want me to help you?" Wang Zhengyang looked ugly. Li Chunren said angrily, "Chen Zhangyi, why are you so stunned at this time? Hurry up." "Chunren, shut up," Li Xiaolei scolded. Li Xiaolei turned around, apologetically, and bowed slightly. "Zhou Chen, I apologize to you. Please help my Li family this time." Chen Zhangyi stood up and said to Su Chen first, "Mr. Su, if we can't win, please help me protect Mr. Li. It's impossible. I will fight to the death to hold this man. You can take Mr. Li away." Li Chunren was so angry. At this time, Chen Zhangyi actually begged this young man. "It's really funny." Su Chen nodded. Chen Zhangyi was relieved to join the battlefield with Zhang Biao. Wang Zhengyang's pressure was reduced instantly. However, Wu Gang's long hair was flying, and his eyes were crazy. 3 dark power masters. That's enough. Come on. Li Chunren, I'll show you how I beat down the 3 people you invited. At that time, I'll see what you can do. Wu Gang laughed. He was full of vigor and energy, and his momentum was amazing. In the blink of an eye, Wu Gang, who was originally besieged by 3 dark energy masters, became the one who took the initiative to attack. The 3 of them joined forces, but were suppressed by Wu Gang. Li Xiaolei and Li Chunren's faces changed drastically. Wu Gang, why is he so powerful? Li Chunren was sweating coldly. He turned his head to look at Su Chen on the side and said sternly, "Su Chen, aren't you a master? Come on. Together with Chen Zhangyi and the others, subdue that Wu Gang for me." Su Chen said lightly, "I'm not used to joining forces with others, and I don't like to bully the weak with the many." Li Chunren was so angry that his chest heaved. "Am I asking you? If you like it, I order you. Come on now. Who do you think you are? How dare you order me?" Su Chen looked at Li Chunren coldly. Li Chunren felt like he fell into ice, and his whole body was cold. He just remembered that Su Chen in front of him was a master that even Chen Zhangyi respected. Although he didn't believe how powerful Su Chen was, it shouldn't be difficult if he wanted to kill him. Li Xiaolei sighed helplessly. His son was really disappointing. He was arrogant and had great ambitions but little talent. Although he was already in his 40s, his personality was not calm at all. Li Xiaolei stepped forward and said, "Mr. Su, I'm really sorry. If the situation is not favorable in a while, you should leave. Don't die because of my Li family's affairs." Su Chen said calmly, "I have promised Chen Zhangyi that I will keep you safe, and I will not break my promise." Li Xiaolei smiled bitterly. In fact, he had no hope for Su Chen at all. After all, Su Chen was too young. At this time, Wang Zhengyang screamed again in the battle. He was hit in the shoulder by Wu Gang's punch, and his entire left arm could not be lifted up. Wang Zhengyang was panicked and shouted, "Chen Zhangyi, stop him for a moment, I will adjust." Chen Zhangyi stepped forward and intercepted Wu Gang's pursuit. However, Wang Zhengyang took this opportunity to flee the battlefield. He ran to Wang Dang, picked up Wang Dang with one arm, and turned to run away. Li Chunren and Li Xiaolei's faces changed drastically. "Master Wang, what are you doing?" Li Chunren asked anxiously. Wang Zhengyang smiled coldly, "Run away. This man is here to seek revenge on your Li family. Do I want to die with you?" After saying that, Wang Zhengyang ran straight to the door. Chen Zhangyi and Zhang Biao were in danger in an instant. Chen Zhangyi cursed, "Wang Zhengyang, you are shameless." Wang Zhengyang sneered, "Chen Zhangyi, you are great. You will be buried with the Li family." As he spoke, Wang Zhengyang had already rushed to the door. The father and son of the Li family were pale. At this time, Wu Gang shouted, "Did I let you go?" Wang Zhengyang's face changed. When he turned around, he saw a black shadow, carrying the power of thunder, rushing towards him. Wang Zhengyang was shocked. He saw that the flying object was Wu Gang's metal crutch. Wang Zhengyang hurriedly swung his right fist, trying to repel the crutch. Crack. Wang Zhengyang's fist made a sound of bone fracture. The crutch passed through the blockade of Wang Zhengyang's fist and hit him hard in the chest. Puff. Wang Zhengyang spurted out a mouthful of blood and fell directly to the ground, instantly losing the ability to escape. The metal crutch actually relied on the rebound force to return to Wu Gang's hand again. Li Chunren was completely desperate. The next second, Zhang Bao and Chen Zhangyi flew out directly. Su Chen stood up and caught the two people. Chen Zhangyi's mouth was bleeding. Seeing Su Chen behind him, he smiled bitterly. "Mr. Su, I'm not this man's opponent." Su Chen said lightly, "It's normal. You are only in the middle stage of dark energy, and this person's dark energy has been fully developed." Wu Gang was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that someone here could see through his cultivation. "Who are you?" Wu Gang looked at Su Chen. Su Chen said calmly, "Someone you can't beat." Wu Gang's mouth twitched, and he was about to taunt. At this time, Su Chen pointed to Li Xiaolei next to him and said lightly, "Can you give me face and let this old man go? As for the other members of the Li family, it has nothing to do with me." Li Chunren's face changed. Chapter 61. Hitting people is like hanging a painting. Li Xiaolei was stunned and looked at Chen Zhangyi. Chen Zhangyi smiled bitterly. He did ask Su Chen to protect his benefactor Li Xiaolei, but he didn't expect Su Chen to say that. Li Chunren, who was standing next to Li Xiaolei, was even more confused. "What the hell does this mean? You only protect my father and don't care about my life or death." However, Wu Gang smiled coldly. "Boy, do you take yourself too seriously? I was slapped 10 times at the beginning, and now I have to kill 10 people from the Li family, from relatives to strangers. Li Chunren's father will definitely not be able to escape." Su Chen shook his head. "I think it's not easy for you to practice, and I want to leave you away, but if you insist on not leaving, I can't do anything. You little brat. You dare to speak so arrogantly, then I will kill you first." Wu Gang roared, raised his single crutches, and rushed directly towards Su Chen. His body was fast, like thunder. A single crutches, like a long sword, pointed directly at Su Chen's throat. The sharp sound of the wind was actually the sound of a sonic boom. Su Chen looked calm. He pulled his right leg back slightly, then slowly raised his fist. In an instant, a terrifying aura gathered in the hall. In the stunned eyes of everyone, the white airflow quickly gathered on Su Chen's fist. "Xiangang Divine Fist." Su Chen shouted inwardly. He punched out. Bang! A terrifying aura explosion sounded. The invisible aura instantly formed a huge fist and flew towards Wu Gang. Wu Gang's eyes changed in shock. There was no trace of ruthlessness on his face. Instead, it was full of fear. He quickly retracted the single crutch in his hand and turned to escape. However, in the blink of an eye, the terrifying fist shadow, with a terrifying sonic boom, instantly passed through space and hit him hard. Bang! Wu Gang was like being hit by a cannonball, and the whole person was knocked out. Sticking to the wall, it took more than 10 seconds to slide down. Hitting people is like hanging a painting. Wang Zhengyang, who was limp on the ground, murmured. He looked at Su Chen with astonishment. Wang Dang's mouth was wide open, unable to close. He had always thought that he was a genius for becoming a dark power master at the age of 30. But now, Su Chen is only in his early 20s, but he is 100 times better than him. Li Chunren and Li Xiaolei dared not breathe. The scene in front of them was just like shooting a movie. Especially Li Chunren. His legs were shaking at this moment. Thinking of his attitude towards Su Chen just now, he couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Chen Zhangyi and Zhang Bao looked at each other. "Boss, I'm not seeing things." Zhang Bao murmured. Chen Zhangyi trembled and said, "No, Mr. Su, I'm afraid it's really reached that stage." Corner. Wu Gang spit out blood, leaning on a single crutch, and slowly propped himself up. Li Chunren was shocked. In this situation, Wu Gang was not dead yet. The vitality of dark power warriors is really tenacious. He couldn't help but feel fortunate that Chen Zhangyi invited Su Chen over. Otherwise, their family would really be finished. Wu Gang was leaning on a crutch, staggering all over. "You son of a bitch. Who are you?" Su Chen said calmly. "It doesn't matter who I am. The key is, do you want to reconsider my proposal? Except for Li Xiaolei, Chen Zhanggai, and Zhang Biao, you can deal with the others in the hall of this villa as you like. Li Chunren, Wang Zhengyang, and Wang Dang. You might as well just say our 3 names." Li Chunren was almost scared to death, looking at Su Chen, praying in his heart. "Brother, you are about to beat Wu Gang to death. Just kill him completely. At this time, why are you still saying such things?" At this moment, he regretted it to death. If he had been a little polite to Su Chen just now, it wouldn't have been like this. At the door of the villa, Wang Zhengyang and Wang Dang wanted to get up right now and kowtow to Su Chen. Everyone looked at Wu Gang. Now, the lives of several of them are decided in Wu Gang's hands. Wu Gang's mouth curled up. "Ha ha ha. Good suggestion. But, I want you all to die." The next second, Wu Gang suddenly raised his crutch and pointed it at Su Chen. A mechanical trigger sounded. Chen Zhangai's face changed instantly. "Mr. Su, be careful, his crutch is a modified firearm." Wu Gang had a cruel smile on his face and suddenly pulled the hidden trigger. Bang! A bullet was ejected towards Su Chen. This was his killer weapon that he had designed for many years, just to deal with encountering masters, so that he could sneak attack and kill the enemy. The whole crutch can only fire 1 bullet, but the power is like a sniper rifle. Wu Gang was confident that, even if Su Chen was 1 level higher than him, he would not be able to avoid such a close attack. Bullets were ejected. Everyone was terrified. Su Chen now was everyone's hope. Su Chen faced the ejected bullets with a solemn expression. In the blink of an eye, his hand shook wildly in front of his chest. In places that no one could see, he drew a series of air walls. Puff, puff, puff. The bullet shuttled through layers of air walls. The speed gradually slowed down, and the power also became smaller. Finally, Su Chen turned his palm and held a bullet in his hand. All this happened in a flash. The people in front of him didn't see the air walls at all. They only saw Su Chen stretch out his palm and gently turn it. The next moment, a yellow bullet appeared in his palm. The scene in front of them stunned everyone. Wu Gang was even more furious, and his heart and courage were gone. He didn't dare to stay any longer and turned around and ran. Su Chen smiled coldly and turned his wrist lightly. Whoosh! The bullet in his hand flew out again. The speed was even faster than that fired from a gun. Puff! The bullet instantly pierced Wu Gang's back. Ah! Wu Gang screamed and fell to the ground. He covered his chest, spitting blood, and looked at Su Chen. My master will definitely avenge me." With a tilt of his head, Wu Gang fell to the ground and died. Everyone present breathed a sigh of relief, but also had very complicated feelings. As they dealt with it, they felt that Wu Gang, who had faced so many difficulties, actually died just like that. This feeling made everyone a little dazed. Li Chunren looked at Wu Gang's body on the ground and wanted to laugh out loud. However, when he saw Su Chen still standing there, he was so scared that he dared not make any noise. He was afraid that this big man would remember his rudeness just now and kill him casually. "Mr. Su, Wu Gang, he just died like this?" Chen Zhangai's tone was full of disbelief. Su Chen nodded lightly. "Can't you see it?" Chen Zhanggai bowed hurriedly, and his tone was 3 points more respectful. "Thank you, Mr. Su. In the future, if you have any orders, I will not disobey you." Su Chen waved his hand lightly and said, "Okay. This matter should be over, right? Then I'm leaving." After that, Su Chen turned and left. Li Chunren lowered his head and dared not speak again. Li Xiaolei hurried forward and bowed deeply. "Mr. Su, thank you for your help. If you have any instructions in the future, please let me know. There are more than a dozen people in my Li family, and we are all here to obey you." As he spoke, Li Xiaolei kicked Li Chunren. Li Chunren finally reacted, bowed deeply, and said with a smile, "Brother Su, I apologize to you. I looked down on you." "Thank you." Su Chen looked at Li Chunren and shook his head. He said to Li Xiaolei, "Mr. Li, you don't have to be polite. I just returned a favor to Mr. Chen. If you want to thank someone, you should thank Mr. Chen." Li Xiaolei's smile froze. Su Chen's words were to distance himself from him. At the door, Wang Zhengyang and Wang Dong struggled to get up and knelt down in front of Su Chen. Mr. Su, just now it was me and the fool who were blind and offended you. Please punish us. Wang Zhengyang and Wang Dong were so scared that they trembled all over. Thinking of their rudeness to Su Chen just now, the two regretted it to death. Now, whether they live or die depends on Su Chen's thoughts. Su Chen looked at the father and son of the Wang family coldly. He said calmly, "Don't worry, I won't take your lives." But, as he spoke, Su Chen looked at Chen Zhanggai. "Mr. Chen, come find me later, and I'll help you improve your martial arts skills. In the future, you should also go to Zhengyang boxing gym and fight back your lost reputation with your own hands." Hearing this, Chen Zhanggai was instantly overjoyed. He knew that Su Chen wanted to help him improve his strength. Wang Zhengyang and Wang Dong were both happy and sad. The good thing was that they could escape death. The sad thing was that they were destined to be stepped on by Chen Zhanggai. "Zhang Biao, go drive and take Mr. Su back." Chen Zhanggai arranged. Su Chen and Zhang Biao left. In the hall of the villa, there were only a few people with their own thoughts left. Li Xiaolei turned around and slapped Li Chunren. "Pa." Li Chunren's face was visibly red. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. Better to feed the dog. "Dad, what are you doing?" Li Chunren covered his face with a puzzled look. He is a man who cares about face. Now, Chen Zhanggai and Wang Zhengyang are still present. Li Chunren's face suddenly became a little embarrassed. Li Xiaolei was furious and asked sternly, "What am I doing? I will beat you, a useless son with no vision, to death. If you didn't know the seriousness of the matter, how could you have caused such a big disaster to our Li family? If you weren't arrogant and ignorant, how could a master like Su Chen leave our Li family? Tell me, do you want my Li family to be completely destroyed?" Li Xiaolei was so angry that his hands trembled. Li Chunren said aggrievedly, "Dad, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong." "Humph." Li Xiaolei snorted angrily. "When you see Su Chen in the future, you must treat him with the highest courtesy." Li Chunren nodded quickly. Li Xiaolei turned around and looked at Chen Zhanggai next to him. He said sincerely, "Zhanggai, thank you so much this time. If you hadn't invited Mr. Su, I'm afraid that my entire family would not have escaped the murder. However, I want to ask, where exactly is this master of Mr. Su? I thought that I could find a chance to thank him in the future." Chen Zhanggai said, "Mr. Li, in fact, I don't have much contact with Mr. Su. Now, he works for Zhao's catering group. However, Mr. Su's personality is relatively low-key, and he doesn't like to show off. You should try not to disturb his peaceful life. If you really want to thank him, you can choose to help Zhao's catering group when it encounters problems. From what I know about Mr. Su, he still values human relationships." Chen Zhanggai quietly revealed a piece of news to Li Xiaolei. Li Xiaolei was his benefactor, and he hoped from the bottom of his heart that Li Xiaolei could make friends with Su Chen. Li Xiaolei nodded and smiled gratefully at Chen Zhanggai. Turning around, Li Xiaolei looked at Wang Zhengyang and his son who was limped to the door, and the smile on his face disappeared. "Mr. Wang, thank you for coming to my Li family to help. I will have someone send the reward to your house. Now the house is in chaos and needs to be cleaned up, so I won't keep you two here any longer." Li Xiaolei seems to be polite, but in fact he keeps people at a distance. However, his etiquette and politeness are very good, and people can't find fault with him. This is the difference between him and Li Chunren. A trace of embarrassment flashed across the faces of Wang Zhengyang and his son. They bowed and smiled, turned around and left. They knew it very well. Su Chen showed his disgust for them, and the Li family would never get close to them again. The father and son supported each other and walked out of the Li family villa. Wang Dong's face was gloomy, and he turned around and spat a mouthful of thick phlegm. "Asshole. We helped them so much, but they were ungrateful and burned the bridge after crossing the river. When I succeed in my cultivation in the future, I will definitely come to find you." Wang Dong cursed. Bang. Wang Zhengyang slapped Wang Dong in the face. Wang Dong was stunned at that time. "Dad, why did you hit me?" Wang Zhengyang said angrily. "You blind thing, can't you see now? The Li family is preparing to cling to Su Chen's thighs. Still want to retaliate against the Li family? Tell me, to what extent do you have to practice before you can be Su Chen's opponent?" Wang Dong was speechless for a moment. Su Chen's strength has penetrated into his bones. Even just thinking about it, he was trembling with fear. Wang Zhengyang gritted his teeth and whispered, "In the future, you must bow your head and be a man and never be arrogant again. Even if Chen Zhangyi comes to challenge us in the future, we must bow our heads and admit defeat. With Su Chen in Bincheng, there is no place for you and me in the martial arts world. Let me see. If it doesn't work, I will send you to another city." Wang Dong lowered his head and said nothing. Although Wang Zhengyang's words made him very angry, he couldn't refute it. On the other side, Zhang Bao drove and took Su Chen home. Along the way, Zhang Bao wanted to ask Su Chen some questions about practice several times, but he kept his mouth shut in the end. Finally, when Su Chen was about to get off the car, Zhang Bao dared to speak. "Mr. Su, what is your martial arts level?" Su Chen was stunned and smiled. "I don't know too much. Anyway, I can't beat the 70-year-old man in the village." The 70-year-old man Su Chen was talking about was naturally his grandfather. Zhang Bao was stunned. "What kind of old man is this? He is so powerful." "Sure enough, your uncle is still your uncle." While Zhang Bao was stunned, Su Chen had already got off the car. Zhang Bao was a little annoyed. Why didn't he ask a few more questions? Although Su Chen's attitude towards Li Chunren, Wang Zhengyang and others was very bad, he was still very kind to him and Chen Zhangyi, his own people. It's a waste of opportunity to meet a master but miss him. Zhang Bao patted his head in annoyance. Su Chen stepped out of the car and walked into the Zhao family villa. Zhao Girang saw Su Chen coming back and hurriedly asked, "Zhao Chen, you are back, have you eaten?" Su Chen was stunned, and then he remembered that he didn't eat at all. Seeing Su Chen's expression, Zhao Girang smiled and said, "You kid, you're so busy that you forget to eat. Wait, I'll make you a bowl of noodles and a few slices of beef." As she spoke, Zhao Girang went to the kitchen to get busy. Not long after, Zhao Girang brought out a bowl of beef noodles. On the surface of the bowl of noodles, there were a few large pieces of beef slices, which could almost be called small steaks. Su Chen felt a warm current in his heart. The beef in Aunt Zhao's bowl of beef noodles was enough for Lan Cao ramen to use for a day. "Eat quickly," Aunt Zhao said with a smile. Su Chen smiled and nodded, and began to eat heartily. While he was eating, Zhou Wanqiu came down from the bedroom upstairs. She saw Su Chen eating noodles, and couldn't help but snorted. This traitor who eats his own way, his mother actually made noodles for him personally. Humph. It's better to feed it to the dog. Zhao Girang heard Zhou Wanqiu's cold snort and complained, "You girl, Su Chen just came back a little late. Why are you so angry? You don't understand anything." Zhou Wanqiu was scolded, and felt even more annoyed. But Su Chen ignored her, and concentrated on eating noodles. "Eat, eat, eat. Be careful not to choke to death." Zhou Wanqiu poured a glass of water, and went upstairs again. Zhao Girang smiled and said, "Zhao Chen, eat slowly. If it's not enough, I'll go get you more." Su Chen drank all the noodle soup in the bowl, wiped his mouth and said, "Thank you, Aunt Zhao, I'm full." As he spoke, Su Chen wanted to wash the dishes, but Zhao Girang took it away and asked him to leave the kitchen. Su Chen smiled and didn't insist. Zhou Wanqiu's beautiful wife is not a little bit worse than his cheap mother-in-law. While Su Chen was eating noodles, He Zenshin was also at the wine party, in a luxurious box in Dahao Chunjing Hotel. He Zenshin was the last seat. At this moment, his face was no longer full of vigor and arrogance, but instead a cautious and respectful look. Sitting on the main seat was a man in his early 30s. He had a slicked back hair and a hooked nose, which made him look very fierce. He had single eyelids, but his eyes were slightly shining, like an eagle's gaze and a wolf's look. This man was Zhao Shiji, the son of Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng. Chapter 63. The first attack is a killing move. He Zenshin raised his glass and bowed respectfully. "Mr. Zhao, I have agreed to your request for a steak. Look, shouldn't you help me deal with my two enemies? Zhao Shiji narrowed his eyes and said indifferently, isn't it just Zhao's catering group and that Su Chen? Don't worry. I'll take care of it. What do you think now? He Zenshin asked. Zhao Shiji smiled coldly, your two enemies are only a big deal in your eyes. To me, they are not worth mentioning. He Zenshin said respectfully, of course. Zhao Shiji glanced at He Zenshin indifferently and said, the Zhao's catering group you mentioned is actually not as strong as your He's catering group. If I want to control it, I have plenty of ways. Whether it is official or private, it will be killed without making any waves. He Zenshin listened carefully. Zhao Shiji said arrogantly, as for the Su Chen you mentioned, it's even simpler. Isn't he just a country boy? He just knows a little martial arts practice. My father has 4 masters of swords, fists, and feet. If you want to destroy Su Chen, just backhand him. Zhao Shiji was very confident. He Zenshin hurriedly said, Mr. Zhao, you must not underestimate Su Chen. My subordinate Liu Zuan is already a master of dark energy, but he can't hold out in front of Su Chen for even one round. Liu Zuan stood in the corner and whispered, Mr. Zhao, it's true. I suspect that Su Chen may have entered a higher realm. Zhao Shiji smiled contemptuously, you may not know that. Even if you are both masters of dark energy, the gap between you is like heaven and earth. As he spoke, Zhao Shiji clapped his hands lightly. Then, a tall figure pushed the door open and entered. Zhao Shiji introduced, this is Feng Dao, one of the 4 great masters of swords, fists, and feet under my father. He is the Iron Fist. Iron Fist Feng Dao. Liu Zuan cried out at the side. He Zenshin was also slightly shocked. Mr. Zhao, this Mr. Feng, could it be the Iron Fist Feng Dao who defeated Wang Zhengyang, the owner of Zhengyang Boxing Gym, with 3 punches? Feng Dao curled his lips slightly, a little proud. Wang Zhengyang, the owner of Zhengyang Boxing Gym, was famous in Bincheng with his Zhengyang Fist, but he was defeated by him with 3 punches, making him famous as the Iron Fist. Zhao Shiji proudly introduced, that's right. In fact, defeating Wang Zhengyang is just a small matter for Feng Dao. His master is even more amazing. Master Feng Dao is the invincible Yang Wudi of the Divine Fist. This is an invincible figure in the whole province. He is invincible in the martial arts world. He Zenshin was completely stunned. Good. With Mr. Feng Dao here, that kid Su Chen will definitely die. He Zenshin's eyes burst with a ray of revenge. However, Mr. Zhao, what should I do with the poison pill in my body? He Zenshin asked again with concern. Zhao Shiji smiled and said, don't worry. I have sent people to find an expert in detoxification. Besides, when Feng Dao takes down Su Chen, can't he be forced to take out the antidote? He Zenshin nodded. Then should we deal with Su Chen first, or the Zhao family? Zhao Shiji smiled. For our first battle in cooperation, we naturally have to choose a bigger target. Let's use the demise of the Zhao family to celebrate for us. Tomorrow, the health department will completely ban the Zhao family's restaurants, food factories, and hotels. He Zenshin's pupils shrank. They actually use the health department. Zhao Shiji's strength is too terrifying, and his moves are killing moves. On the other side, Su Chen finished eating noodles, and Zhou Wanqiu just came out of the bedroom. The two chatted for a while. Su Chen wanted to find the old man, to ask about his grandfather's youth, but the old man didn't say anything at all. Since your grandfather didn't tell you, he naturally has his reasons. When you should know in the future, he will naturally tell you. Zhou Wanqiu said with a smile. Su Chen smiled helplessly. He wanted to find out from the side what the benefits of marrying Zhou Wanqiu for a year were, but old man Zhou Wanqiu was very defensive. Alas, there was no way. Su Chen could only go back and endure Zhou Wanqiu's cold eyes. Su Chen went up to the bedroom on the 2nd floor and knocked on the door first according to the rules. He pushed the door open and walked in. Zhou Wanqiu was already lying on the bed. Seeing Su Chen come in, she snorted coldly. Su Chen was helpless. After washing and changing clothes, Su Chen sat cross-legged on his mat. On the bed, Zhou Wanqiu didn't speak either. The whole bedroom fell into an awkward moment. Su Chen, don't you have anything to say to me? Zhou Wanqiu couldn't help but said. Su Chen said calmly, what are you talking about? Zhou Wanqiu said coldly. Why did you get into He Zhenshen's car? Su Chen was a little confused and asked back, didn't I tell you? He Zhenshen tried to win me over and wanted me to cooperate with him to annex the Zhao family, kill your whole family, and then let me be the chairman of Zhao's catering group. Zhou Wanqiu didn't believe it at all, but she suppressed her anger and said, how is this possible? How can he annex our Zhao family? Su Chen said, what he said is that he would send people to attack you first. For example, he would secretly attack your car and cause brake failure. He would kill people and set fires, causing accidental death in fires. He would create accidents and let you die of electrocution. As long as you, Uncle Zhao and Grandpa Zhao are gone, it will be easy for him to annex Zhao's catering group. What he wants is to prevent me from blocking him. After all, the people he sent are not my opponents. Zhou Wanqiu trembled all over when she heard it. Before, she thought Su Chen was making it up, but now she believed it after hearing such a detailed explanation. She had heard in the past that He Zhenshen's younger brother, He Zhenlong, was the boss of the underground Black Dragon Society. The methods Su Chen said were probably true. Why didn't you make it clear at noon? Zhou Wanqiu complained. Su Chen looked puzzled. Big sister, I told you this at noon, okay? You didn't believe me. Zhou Wanqiu looked a little embarrassed. Indeed. She was angry at the time. Who are you calling big sister? You are the big sister. Your whole family is big sisters. I don't want to listen to you now. Shut up. Zhou Wanqiu's face was hot, so she found a random reason and caught Su Chen and scolded him again. Then she turned around to turn off the lights, covered herself with the quilt, and stopped talking. Su Chen? This sister looks quite normal. Why did she suddenly act like a mental patient and have another attack? Su Chen was in pain. In the dark, Zhou Wanqiu's head covered in the quilt stretched out, revealing a smug smile. Now it seems that I really blamed this country boy wrongly. This guy's not bad. At least he didn't betray for money. Zhou Wanqiu's opinion of Su Chen changed a lot. However, Zhou Wanqiu soon thought of another thing. The black and white Bentley was explained clearly, but what about the other 3 luxury cars? The red Ferrari sports car, the pink Mercedes-Benz G, and the Maybach this afternoon? What's the matter? This bastard. There are too many things to hide. Zhou Wanqiu wanted to turn on the lights and ask Su Chen again. But when she thought that she had just told Su Chen to shut up, she didn't want to take the initiative to speak again. In the entanglement, Zhou Wanqiu slowly fell asleep. In her sleep, the corners of her mouth raised a relaxed arc. Although she knew that He Zhenshen had bad intentions towards the Zhao family, she felt a little more at ease with Su Chen here. The next morning, the two had breakfast and went to work together. Although Zhou Wanqiu's attitude improved a little, it was just not as bad as yesterday afternoon, but she didn't take the initiative to talk to Su Chen. Su Chen entered the group and felt that the atmosphere of the company seemed a little strange today, and many people were in a hurry. However, when we walked into the secretariat office, everything seemed to be back to normal. Zhang Yu was still playing games, Liu Pan was still flirting with girls, Xian Yan was practicing standing still, and Sujia was putting on makeup. Fuck. Damn it. Suddenly, a roar resounded throughout the office. Chapter 64. You are just of low quality. Everyone was shocked and turned to look. Zhang Yu was cursing. Damn it, these bastard teammates actually called me a jerk again. Is it my fault? I fought 2 people one-on-one several times, and no one came to help me. I cursed a few times. Isn't that enough? They turned around and cursed me. Bang. Zhang Yu was so angry that he slammed the table. On the side, Liu Pan, Su Jiao and Xian Yan were already used to it. Seeing that Zhang Yu was fine, they continued to do their own things. Zhang Yu put down his phone and noticed that Su Chen was here. The anger on his face disappeared instantly, and he came to Su Chen with a smile on his face. Brother Chen, you are here? Su Chen nodded and asked, what's wrong? Is there anything? Zhang Yu smiled and said, well, your medical skills are very powerful. I want to ask, can you see if there is anything wrong with me? Liu Pan and others heard what Zhang Yu said and joined in the fun. Su Chen looked Zhang Yu up and down and said, except for a weak kidney, everything else is fine. Oh, I played too many games, and my eyes are a little dry and tired, that's all. Zhang Yu said, Brother Chen, can you take a look at my mental state? Is there anything wrong with me? I feel that I have a bad temper when I'm online, and I'm easily upset by netizens. Once I get upset, I'll start to argue with them, especially my teammates in the game. As long as I'm not happy, I want to criticize them. And, to be honest, the trash talk I say is pretty ugly. Do you think I have mania? Su Chen carefully felt Zhang Yu's pulse, and then said lightly, there's nothing wrong with your mental state. I think you may just be simply low quality. Zhang Yu patted his chest and said thankfully, just low quality? Then I'm relieved. Liu Pan, Shan Yang and others who were watching were speechless. This doctor-patient dialogue is really amazing. Everyone dispersed again. Zhang Yu also ran back and continued to play games and read gossip. Soon, Zhang Yu slipped back again. Brother Chen, I heard a piece of gossip. Zhang Yu said with a sly look. Su Chen looked at him helplessly. What gossip? Zhang Yu said, I have several small accounts lurking in different subsidiary groups of our group. I think those subsidiaries seem to have encountered hygiene problems. Su Chen was stunned. What hygiene problems? Zhang Yu scratched his head. I don't understand the details. It seems to be quite serious. The subsidiary groups, where I have small accounts, have all been found by the health department and suspended operations. Su Chen was stunned. What's going on? On the other side, Zhou Wanqiu had just parked the car and took the elevator up. Before he reached the door of the office, Gao Minimum came over angrily. Zhou Wanqiu, what the hell do you mean? Zhou Wanqiu was confused. Gao Minimum, are you sick again? Zhou Wanqiu frowned. Gao Minimum said in a shrill voice, I'm sick. I think it's you who's sick. Let me ask you, did you see that my brother is about to take down the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project, and you can't keep your own position as president, so you want to fight to the death with me? Zhou Wanqiu was puzzled. What do you mean by fight to the death? Yao Zhenfeng has already signed the food center project to himself. Why do you want to fight to the death? What are you saying? I don't understand. Zhou Wanqiu frowned. Gao Minimum said angrily, you don't understand? Why are all the subsidiaries, food factories, chain fast food restaurants and restaurants under Zhao's catering group sealed by the health department? You don't want the company to go bankrupt. What do you mean? Zhou Wanqiu glared at her with her beautiful eyes and said sternly, what did you say? All sealed by the health department? Gao Minimum was overwhelmed by Zhou Wanqiu's momentum and could only nod. Hold a high-level meeting of the company immediately. Zhou Wanqiu left her word and turned away. Gao Minimum was stunned for a long time before coming back to his senses. Bah. Why are you pretending? As the president, you have to bear the greatest responsibility for this crisis. Gao Minimum shouted at Zhou Wanqiu's back. Soon, the high-level meeting of Zhao's catering group began. The heads of all departments were present, and the heads of subsidiaries and independent departments who could come also came. In addition, all the shareholders of the group, big and small, who could come, came. Zhou Rongchang and Zhou Pingjiang of the Zhou family also came temporarily. It can be seen how serious the situation has become. The atmosphere in the meeting room was tense. Everyone listened to one report after another with a grim face. Boss Zhao, the health inspection of our Haobin Food Street has been notified, and the health department has issued an ultimatum. Correct it within 1 day, otherwise we will be closed indefinitely for rectification. Boss Zhao, our Zhao's restaurant has also received a notice from the health department, saying that we have been reported to have problems with the kitchen environment. We must correct it within a time limit, otherwise we will be closed for inspection. Boss Zhao, and our Zhao's fast food chain, more than 20 chain stores have received notices that they must suspend business for rectification, and the opening time will be notified separately. If this is delayed, the daily loss of food ingredients will be astronomical. And our Ruai restaurant. The words of the heads of various departments made Zhou Wanqiu's head explode. The shareholders and department leaders present frowned one by one. Boss Zhao, you are the president of our group. Shouldn't you explain to us why this happened? Gao Minimum jumped out and questioned. Zhou Wanqiu frowned. I have sent people to investigate. I believe there will be results soon. What's the use of having results? The hygiene problem in the catering industry is the key to the catering industry. If you can't solve it, the Zhou catering group will be doomed. Gao Minimum said coldly. Zhou Wanqiu was angry. Don't I know what you said? Do I want this to happen? Zhou Catering Group was founded by my grandfather, and it has been run by generations to become what it is today. When encountering a problem, find out the cause, and then solve the problem. This is the correct idea of internal meetings. What's the point of jumping out and blaming this and blaming that? If you have the ability, go and solve the problem. If you don't solve the problem, what's the point of being so arrogant in your nest? Zhou Wanqiu was so imposing that Gao Minimum's tone stagnated, not knowing what to say. At this time, Gao Minimum's brother Gao Rinhui said coldly, Zhou Wanqiu, Secretary General Gao is determining the responsibility. Is that wrong? You are the president of the group. The board of directors has handed over the right to manage the entire company's operations to you, so that you can lead the group to greater glory, rather than watching you finish the company. Zhao's Catering Group, although it is called Zhao's, it is not your Zhao family's one-man show. We shareholders are also watching here. After saying this, a group of large and small shareholders spoke out in support. Zhou Wanqiu looked ugly. Although the Zhao family holds the majority of the shares of Zhao's Catering Group, Gao Rinhui also has a lot of shares. Under his leadership, those small shareholders still dare to make trouble. At this time, Zhao Pingjiang stood up and said coldly, I want to know now, Vice Chairman Gao, what do you mean? The scene suddenly became quiet. After Zhou Rongchang abdicated, Zhao Pingjiang has taken over as the chairman of Zhao's Catering. In terms of status, his status is the highest. However, Gao Rinhui is the second largest shareholder of the group and the vice chairman of the group. In terms of status, he was only slightly inferior to Zhao Pingjiang, and even higher than Zhou Wanqiu. The conflict between the company's big boss and the second boss suddenly made everyone feel frightened. Gao Huairan faced Zhao Pingjiang without a trace of fear. Boss Zhao, what I mean is not important. The key now is to see what the health department means, whether they want our group to be finished. The two people's eyes collided and confronted each other. At this moment, an employee shouted, oh no, someone from the health department is coming. Chapter 65. Storm is coming. In the conference room, everyone stood up, and their faces changed. The health department first sealed off the group's subsidiaries, independent hotels, chain restaurants, and subordinate food factories, and now came to the group headquarters. What is it trying to do? Could it be that they want to catch them all in one fell swoop? Everyone's face was grim. I hope it's good news. If it's bad news, I'll make you Zhao family suffer. Gao Huairan left a harsh word and walked out of the conference room. Everyone followed him out. Zhao Pingjiang looked grim, looked at Zhao Wanqiu and asked, Wanqiu, what's going on? Zhao Wanqiu said bitterly, Dad, I really don't know. I suddenly got the news this morning that the health department sealed off all projects of our Zhao's Catering Group. Zhou Rongchang said calmly, don't worry, it seems that someone should have taken action against our group. This is just the other party's first move. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu hurriedly looked at Zhou Rongchang with expectation. Zhou Rongchang said calmly, the key to our next step is to find out who is attacking us. Then, contact the other party and understand their demands. Everything is business. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu were shocked. It really fits the old saying that an old man in the family is like a treasure. Zhou Rongchang started from scratch and built Zhao's Catering Group. He has experienced countless storms and many life and death crises. In comparison, Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu are more immature. Zhou Rongchang slowly stood up. Let's go. Let's also meet the health department. Maybe the answer we want is in their hands. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu suddenly calmed down and followed the old man out. In the lobby of the group, a group of uniformed health workers walked over. The three middle-aged men in the lead seemed to be leaders. The others were all ordinary staff. Damn it. It's actually the deputy director of the health department, Tan Seicheng. A deputy director actually came. Is the situation so serious? The other two are also leaders. One is Wu Yehe, the leader of Group 2, and the other is Wang Linjian, the leader of Group 3. Wu Yehe is also harsh, but Wang Linjian is easier to talk to. More than a dozen people from the health department came at once. This scene is a bit scary. Can our Zhao Catering Group survive? The employees of the group talked about it, feeling uneasy. Zhao Pingjiang was the first to greet them and stretched out his hands. Hello, Director Tan, Team Leader Wu, Team Leader Wang. Hello to the two team leaders. I'm Zhao Pingjiang, the chairman of Zhao Catering Group. Excuse me, do you have any instructions for the leaders who came to our group? Faced with Zhao Pingjiang's enthusiastic welcome, Tan Cheng did not extend his hand. Wu Yihe and Wang Linjian behind him naturally did not dare to move. Zhao Pingjiang's heart skipped a beat, but his expression remained natural. Tan Cheng glanced around coldly and said lightly, Zhao Catering Group is indeed a golden exterior with rotten cotton inside. During working hours, everyone is not at their posts, but they all come here to watch the fun. If the top beam is not straight, the bottom beam will be crooked. The head office is like this. No wonder there are so many problems in the health inspection of the branches and independent institutions below. Hearing this, everyone felt cold in their hearts. This is obviously looking for trouble. Zhao Pingjiang smiled awkwardly and explained to Tan Cheng, please forgive me, Director Tan, our group was just holding a high-level meeting just now, and we came out to greet you when we heard you were coming. As he spoke, Zhao Pingjiang waved to everyone. Everyone quickly dispersed. Only 3 generations of the Zhao family, Gao Huairan, Gao Minimum and other company executives were left at the scene. Director Tan, are you here to inspect the work? Let me show you around. Zhao Pingjiang said politely. Tan Cheng smiled coldly, don't bother. I just want to inform you that there are too many health problems in the projects under your group. If there is no way to solve them within one day, I will directly sign a seizure order. Issue a seizure order, and all Zhao's Catering Group's businesses will be closed. I hope you can make corrections as soon as possible. Everyone's faces changed drastically. They were determined to destroy Zhao's Catering Group. At this time, Zhao Rongchang slowly said, Director Tan, this old man wants to ask if our Zhao's Catering Group wants to make corrections. Where should we start? Tan Cheng raised his hand, and a staff member behind him handed him a stack of documents. The rectification opinions on hygiene issues have all been written in it. I hope that Zhao's Catering Group will set high standards and strict requirements when making corrections, and learn more from peer companies. Tan Cheng said lightly, let's go. After saying that, Tan Cheng turned and left. Zhao Pingjiang wanted to invite them to stay for dinner, but was rejected. The two team leaders, Wu Yihe and Wang Linjian, who had frequent contact with Zhao Pingjiang, did not dare to pay attention to Zhao Pingjiang. People from the health department came and left quickly. A layer of dark clouds instantly covered the hearts of everyone present. The situation is now obvious. Zhao's Catering Group is facing a life and death crisis this time. Let's go. Go back to the meeting room and continue the meeting. Zhao Pingjiang finished speaking and turned to leave. Gao Huairan and Gao Minimum looked grim, but hurried to follow. He is the second largest shareholder of Zhao's Catering Group. When Zhao's Catering Group becomes rich, his wealth will increase. If Zhao's Catering Group is finished, he will also go bankrupt. Although they are happy to see the Zhao family in trouble, they don't want to see Zhao's Catering Group fall. The other small shareholders are even more so. Although they hold a relatively small share, Zhao's Catering Group is huge, and a small amount of shares is already a lot of money. With the shares in their hands, they can live very comfortably every year relying on dividends. If Zhao's Catering Group falls, they will also go bankrupt. Although the middle and senior leaders of the group have fewer shares, they are also at risk of unemployment. As soon as they entered the meeting room, everyone started to discuss. One by one, their faces were full of anxiety. The entire group seemed to be in turmoil. Gao Huairan stood up and said angrily, Chairman Zhao Pingjiang, President Zhou Wanqiu, the group has always been under the control of you and your daughter. Now that there is such a huge crisis, shouldn't you two give us an explanation? Yes, give us an explanation. That's right. If we have any losses, the Zhao family should compensate us. My net worth is all in the shares of the group. The Zhao family controls the group and must be responsible for all this. All the shareholders also followed suit. For a moment, it was like a storm was coming. Zhao Rongchang and the other two had gloomy faces. Even the shareholders who usually supported the Zhao family didn't know what to say at this time. Bang! Zhao Rongchang slapped the table. Everyone in the conference room was startled and looked at Zhou Wanqiu. At this time, Mr. Zhou was furious, and his tiger eyes swept through everyone in the conference room. The tiger's might is still there. Everyone was forced by Zhou Wanqiu's momentum, and dared not speak anymore. Zhao's catering group was built by Zhou Wanqiu bit by bit. His authority is enough to suppress everyone. Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, Zhao's catering group has not collapsed yet. What are you doing? Are you in a hurry to jump ship now? No one dared to speak. Gao Rinhui curled his lips and said, old chairman, you have a big family and a big business, so you can naturally not care. We are a small family and a small business, so naturally we care more than you. Please give us a charter. Hearing his words, many shareholders were ready to move again. Zhou Wanqiu looked around and said coldly, now, the most urgent thing is to find out the reason. You wait here, I'll go out and make 2 calls. Bincheng, Wanqiu, you two come out with me. After speaking, Zhou Wanqiu stepped out of the meeting room. Zhou Wanqiu and his daughter hurriedly followed. Chapter 66. What will happen if I kill him? Zhao's catering group. Outside the meeting room, in a secluded corner, Zhou Wanqiu, Zhou Bincheng and Zhou Wanqiu all look worried. Dad, who are you going to call? Zhou Bincheng frowned and asked, are you going to call Deputy Director Tan Cheng? Zhou Wanqiu shook his head and said, you can't call Tan Cheng. He is not someone we can win over at all. Zhou Bincheng was silent. Tan Cheng's attitude just now was indeed 1,000 miles away. Zhou Bincheng thought about it and said with embarrassment, then I'll go ask Wu Yihe, the leader of Group 2. He is Wu Yihe's younger brother, and at least he is an old acquaintance of mine. I beg him, and he should tell me. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhou Wanqiu looked helpless. The Zhou family has completely fallen out with the Wu family. At this time, if Zhou Bincheng calls Wu Yihe again, he will probably be ridiculed. Beep beep beep. The phone is connected. Hey. Isn't this the chairman of the Zhou group? What do you want to do with a small person like me? Wu Yihe's teasing voice sounded on the phone. Zhou Bincheng softened his tone. Yihe, what happened between me and your brother Wu Yihe was actually a coincidence. I never thought it would come to this. Bah. Wu Yihe spat. He said disdainfully, Zhou Bincheng, your Zhou family caused my brother to lose the order from Qinshai and Hao group, and caused my brother to lose the channel of the Yao family in the provincial capital. Now you tell me that you don't want this either? Fuck you. Zhou Bincheng looked embarrassed and said, Wu Yihe, these things are really not what I want. It was your brother Wu Yihe who wanted to help the He's catering group deal with me, and ended up like this today. Whether you believe it or not, the facts are so. I called you just to ask you why your health department is targeting us. Wu Yihe sneered. Zhou Bincheng, do you think I will tell you? I just want to watch your Zhou family fall in obscurity. Ha ha ha. Click. The phone was hung up. Wu Yihe's mouth curled up with a smug smile. He picked up the phone again and called Wu Yihe. Hello, brother. Zhou Bincheng just called me. Wu Yihe told Wu Yihe what happened. Wu Yihe laughed and said fiercely, this bastard hurt me so badly. I didn't expect that I would see him in trouble so soon. When the Zhou family is in trouble, I must go up and tear a piece of their flesh. The two hung up the phone. Wu Yihe thought about it and called He Zhenchen again. He Zhenchen was surprised and happy to hear about the end of Zhao's catering group. Zhao Shiji's power is really great. He Zhenchen said excitedly, Wu Yihe, you continue to help me keep an eye on Zhao's catering group. When I swallow it up, you will definitely benefit from it. Wu Yihe quickly expressed his attitude. Okay. Mr. He, don't worry. Since the last meeting with Yao Zhenfeng in the provincial capital, He Zhenchen has been ignoring him. Now, he finally regained He Zhenchen's trust. On the other side, the 3 generations of the Zhou family were also very angry. This bastard. Just like his brother Wu Yihe, they are all bastards. Zhou Bincheng cursed loudly. Zhou Wanqiu's face was grim. Wu Yihe refused to say, and Tan Cheng couldn't ask. Now, I'm afraid that only the leader of Group 3, Wang Linjian, may know the truth. At this moment, Zhou Wanqiu's cell phone suddenly rang. She looked down and saw, Grandpa, Dad, it's Wang Linjian's call. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhou Bincheng were instantly overjoyed. Hurry up. Zhou Wanqiu picked up the phone Team Leader Wang, what do you want to talk to me about? On the other side of the microphone, Wang Linjian's voice was low. Mr. Zhao, the health department targeted Zhao's catering group, and I was also following orders. I know that Zhao's catering group has always been a benchmark enterprise in Bincheng's catering industry, and I can't bear to see you fall. I can only remind you to think carefully about where you offended the richest man Zhao Changling and his son Zhao Shiji. If you figure it out, maybe everything can turn around. Wang Linjian hung up the phone. Zhou Wanqiu's face was instantly overjoyed and said to the two. Team Leader Wang said that it was the richest man Zhao Changling and his son Zhao Shiji who were targeting us. Zhao Ronchang and Zhao Pingjiang frowned. The richest Zhao family? Why are they targeting us? We don't seem to have offended them. Zhao Pingjiang was very confused. Zhao Ronchang said in a deep voice, although Zhao Changling is the richest man, he is not involved in the catering and food industry too much. I remember that his son Zhao Shiji tried to join the catering industry several times, but failed in the end. Is it because of this that they attacked our Zhao family? Zhao Ronchang and the other two frowned. Zhou Wanqiu gritted her teeth and said, I'll call Zhao Shiji and ask him. The call was connected. Hello, Mr. Zhao, I'm from Zhao's catering group. Before Zhou Wanqiu finished speaking, Zhao Shiji interrupted her directly. Haha. No need to say anything. The Zhao family just waits to die. Click. The phone was hung up. The three Zhas were completely silent. The other party didn't give them any chance. Alas. Zhao Ronchang sighed. Let's go. Let's go back to the conference room first. Back to the conference room. The noise of shareholders, big and small, turned the entire conference room into a vegetable market. Seeing the three Zhao family grandfathers and grandchildren come in, everyone quickly shut their mouths and looked hopeful. Zhou Wanqiu looked at the corner, but found it empty. Where did Su Chen go? Outside the conference room, Su Chen was in the stairwell, and took out his mobile phone. He found a number and dialed it. Hello, dear benefactor, do you miss me? King Yao Iao's babyish voice sounded. Su Chen was not in the mood to joke, and went straight to the point. Miskin, I want to trouble you for something. Hearing Su Chen's tone, King Yao Iao stopped joking. You say? Su Chen said. Now the health department has raided many subsidiaries of Zhao's catering group. I want to know the reason. Can you find your father to help find out? Qin Wentian is the president of Bincheng Chamber of Commerce. Maybe his economic strength is not the best, but his connections are definitely sufficient. I just don't know if Qin Wentian's connections in the government are good enough. Okay, wait a minute. King Yao Iao hung up the phone directly. This is a smart woman who knows when to joke and when to do things seriously. Soon, the phone rang again. Su Chen answered it, and the voice on the other end was Qin Wentian's. Hello, Mr. Su, I have asked my friends in the government to ask for you. The person who attacked Zhao Group is Zhao Shiji, the son of Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng. It is said that he has been very close to He Zhenshan recently. I just don't know if what happened in Zhao Group has anything to do with He Zhenshan. Qin Wentian was really powerful and quickly figured out the whole story. Su Chen quickly figured out everything. It must be that He Zhenshan had no hope of dealing with himself and the Zhao family, and he was poisoned by himself, so he turned to Zhao Shiji, the son of the richest man in Bincheng. Su Chen frowned slightly. Uncle Qin, do you have any connections that can influence the Bincheng health department? On the other side, Qin Wentian was a little embarrassed. Mr. Su, I'm really sorry. Although I'm the president of Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, my main relationships are concentrated in business. In the public sector, especially the health department, I'm no match for the richest man Zhao Changling. It is said that Deputy Director Tan of the health department has a close relationship with the Zhao family, and ordinary people can't stop it at all. Su Chen was silent. Then, he said in a deep voice, what will happen if I kill Tan Seicheng? Qin Wentian was shocked. Chapter 67. No matter how hard you try, you still can't find it. Qin Wentian was a little confused. Su Chen's murderous intention was a bit strong. Su Chen, you must not do anything rash. Although Tan Seicheng is only a deputy, he is also a public figure. If something goes wrong, you will become a public enemy of the public. By then, there will be no place for you to hide in the world. Qin Wentian hurriedly advised. Su Chen's idea was too scary, and he was frightened, and broke out in a cold sweat. Is that so? Su Chen was a little embarrassed. Suddenly his eyes lit up. By the way, is it possible for the Yao family in the provincial capital to affect the health department? Qin Wentian said, I guess not. Although the Yao family in the provincial capital has dealings with Bincheng, I have never heard that his family has too many connections with the Bincheng public. Okay, Uncle Qin, I'll ask other people. Su Chen said. Qin Wentian said, okay, I'll help you find out again. Don't be impulsive. Qin Wentian was really scared by Su Chen's idea. Su Chen hung up the phone and was about to call Yao Zhenfeng to ask. Suddenly, an unfamiliar number called him. Su Chen picked up the phone. An old voice came from the other side. My dear Su Chen, I'm Li Xiaolei. Su Chen said indifferently, what do you want to talk to me about, Mr. Li? Li Xiaolei heard the coldness in Su Chen's words and hurriedly said, my dear Su Chen, you were wronged by what happened in my family yesterday. The old man has always wanted to compensate you, so he paid more attention to you and the Zhao family. I heard that Zhao Shiji, the son of Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng, used the health department to make things difficult for Zhao's catering group. My Li family is willing to solve this trouble for Mr. Su. I wonder if you think I'm meddling? Su Chen was stunned. This Li Xiaolei actually has the confidence to solve this problem. The one who attacked Zhao's catering group was Zhao Shiji, the son of Bincheng's richest man. Mr. Li, aren't you afraid of offending Bincheng's richest man? Su Chen asked. Ha ha ha. Li Xiaolei laughed. He is just the richest man in Bincheng. I, Li Xiaolei, have been one before. If it weren't for my stupid son's disappointment, how could the position of the richest man in Bincheng fall into the hands of Zhao Changling? Su Chen was slightly stunned. He really didn't expect that Li Xiaolei was the previous richest man in Bincheng. No wonder he was so confident. Zhao Changling has a good relationship with Tan Saicheng, but Li Wandao, the leader of the health department, is my nephew. Mr. Su, why should I be afraid of him? Li Xiaolei's tone was slightly proud. Su Chen smiled. It takes no effort to find something after searching everywhere. He is not a person who cares about face. Su Chen said directly, in this case, I will trouble Mr. Li for this matter. I owe you a favor for this matter. If you have any problems in the future, you can ask me for help. On the other side of the phone, Li Xiaolei smiled. Mr. Su, you don't have to be polite. You saved my family's lives, and I'm just returning the favor. Li Xiaolei did not take credit for it. The two hung up the phone. Su Chen returned to the meeting room with a faint smile. On the other side, Li Xiaolei called his nephew Li Wandao. Wandao, there is something you must take seriously. It is related to the future of my Li family. Li Xiaolei gave some instructions and hung up the phone. Only then did he smile with relief. Li Chunrun, who was standing aside, looked at the smile on his father's face and asked in confusion, Dad, although Su Chen is good at fighting, do we have to please him like this? Hearing this, Li Xiaolei got angry. Bang! He turned around and slapped Li Chunrun in the face. How many times have I told you that you must be extremely respectful to Mr. Su Chen in the future? If he hadn't been there last time, our Li family would have been burned to ashes by now. Why don't you remember it? In the future, talented people like Su Chen should be treated with the highest courtesy. You should treat him as your father. Do you understand? Li Chunrun covered his face and said aggrievedly, Dad, I understand. You understand shit. Li Xiaolei was so angry that he cursed. If you had understood it earlier, how could our Li family fall from the richest man in Bincheng to the second richest man in Bincheng? Li Chunrun dared not say a word. It was indeed his problem that he had great ambitions but little talent. The Li family did indeed begin to fall in his hands. This time, Zhao Changling offended little friend Su Chen. Maybe it was my chance to become the richest man in Bincheng again. Li Xiaolei's eyes were full of light. Although Li Chunrun didn't believe it in his heart, he didn't dare to say it out loud. Zhao's catering group. In the meeting room, a group of shareholders talked at once. What's going on? Boss Zhao, who is targeting our group? Zhou Wanqiu looked at her grandfather and father. In desperation, she could only tell them about the Zhao family's move. All of a sudden, all shareholders and middle and senior leaders couldn't hold back. What? The richest man Zhou Changling and Zhou Shiji are targeting our group. Then we're done. My entire net worth is in the group's shares. If the group collapses, I'll go bankrupt too. All shareholders panicked. At this time, Gao Rinhua stood up. Everyone, the situation is very clear now. Our group is finished, and everyone's shares will become waste paper. I think someone should take responsibility for this. Zhao Pingjiang glared. Who do you want to be responsible? Gao Rinhua said coldly. Haha. The position of chairman belongs to you, Zhao Pingjiang. The position of president belongs to your daughter Zhou Wanqiu, and the Zhao family is the major shareholder of the entire Zhao's catering group. Shouldn't this responsibility be your Zhao family? Shouldn't everyone's losses be borne by you? Zhou Rongchang said in a deep voice. Then Vice Chairman Gao, what do you think? Gao Rinhua smiled coldly. I don't have any brilliant ideas. I just think that your Zhao family should buy back my shares. He raised his voice and said word by word, I want to withdraw shares. Other shareholders reacted and hurriedly said, yes, I want to withdraw my shares too. Selling shares to the Zhao family can still make some money. When the Zhao's catering group really goes bankrupt, all the shares will be gone. Zhou Wanqiu looked ugly. At a glance, more than 80% of the people shouted to withdraw their shares. Except for some D-heads of the Zhao family, almost all shareholders asked to withdraw their shares. Zhou Rongchang looked ugly. He said with great sorrow, everyone, when the group was developing well, I didn't want to expand the shares at all. It was you who begged me that I allowed you to invest in Zhao's catering. Over the years, you have not only recovered your investment with the shares in your hands, but also made a lot of money. Now that the group has encountered some problems, you all want to withdraw your shares. I just want to ask you one question. Don't you have a guilty conscience? The shareholders looked embarrassed and bowed their heads. As he spoke, Zhou Rongchang looked at an old man and said, Heyo Xian Kong, brother Heyo. When you encountered difficulties, you wanted to sell the group's shares. I didn't agree to your withdrawal, but lent you money to help you get through the difficulties. Later, you paid back the money with dividends from your shares and made a lot of money. Do you want to withdraw your shares now? The old man Heyo Xian Kong was a little embarrassed. Gao Rinhua saw this and said coldly, Mr. Zhao, the business world is like a battlefield. Let's talk about profits instead of too much emotion. You are making things difficult for Mr. Heyo, which makes you look even less confident. Hearing this, Heyo Xian Kong straightened up and said, that's right. You, Zhou Rongchang, have helped me and brought a lot of benefits to everyone. We are grateful. But now, the Zhao group is going to collapse. Your Zhao family can just collapse on their own. Why drag everyone down with you? Other shareholders echoed, yes. Withdraw your shares. Withdraw your shares. You. Zhou Rongchang was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. At this time, the door suddenly opened. Those who want to withdraw their shares, get out here. I'll give you the withdrawal now. Su Chen pushed the door open with a stack of documents. For a moment, everyone was stunned, staring at Su Chen. Su Chen said coldly, don't you want to withdraw your shares for money? I have prepared the withdrawal form for you. Whoever wants to withdraw his shares, come and get the withdrawal form. After signing, the money will be paid immediately. The meeting room was suddenly silent. Chapter 68 Acting. Su Chen, what are you doing? Zhao Pingjiang was furious. Zhou Rongchang was also puzzled. Zhou Wanqiu cursed in her heart. Su Chen, this bastard, must have surrendered to He Zenshan. Otherwise, why would he hand over a knife at this time? Zhou Wanqiu just wanted to curse, and suddenly Su Chen's voice rang in her ears. Don't get excited. She was startled and almost jumped up. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Rongchang were the same. The three of them stared at Su Chen with wide eyes. As a result, they only saw Su Chen's lips move slightly, but the people next to him couldn't hear what he said. Su Chen used the secret voice transmission. Don't get excited. Director Li, the head of the health department, has found out that this is a false accusation. So, the group will be fine soon. This is a good opportunity to kick out all the pests and ghosts in the group. No one else can hear what I say. Let's act better. The three Zhao family grandfathers and grandchildren looked at each other, all shocked. When have they ever heard of such magical kung fu? Everyone turned to look at the others, and sure enough, they didn't hear anything. Instead, they looked at the withdrawal documents, excited. Give me a copy of the withdrawal letter. I want to withdraw my shares now. And me. I want to withdraw my shares too. Give me a copy. Everyone scrambled for it. To them, Zhao's catering group was a sinking ship, and these withdrawal letters were the lifeboats to save their wealth. Soon, everyone got a withdrawal letter. The share price was a little low, but it was reasonable. If it were in the past, when Zhao's catering group was thriving, they would never sell their shares at this price. But now, it's better to cash out quickly. Although Su Chen said he wanted to act, Zhou Wanqiu, who knew the truth, felt a little reluctant. He looked at his old brothers and advised sincerely, Brother Hao Xian Kong, Brother Jiang Zongcheng, listen to my advice. Don't withdraw your shares. Our group can still be saved. These shares will be worth more in the future. Hao Xian Kong said with disdain. Zhou Wanqiu, you can only keep these words to deceive ghosts. I just want money. These shares will be worthless in the future. Jiang Zongcheng also sneered. Zhou Wanqiu, I'm very grateful for your sharing of shares with me before. But at this time, your Zhou family will die on their own. Zhou Wanqiu felt a little sad when he saw this. On the side, Zhao Pingjiang also shouted loudly, those who are willing to believe in me, Zhao Pingjiang, don't sign the withdrawal letter. I, Zhao Pingjiang, promise to solve the difficulties of the health department. However, Zhao Pingjiang's loud call was met with ridicule. Fuck you. Why are you still pretending at this time? That's right. The people across from us are Zhao Changling and Zhao Shiji, the richest men in Bincheng. Who the hell are you? I want to get the money now, don't give me any more. Zhao Pingjiang was so angry that he almost jumped up. Zhou Wanqiu was also angry. Su Chen was beside her and laughed softly, don't worry. These people will regret it one day. Finally, the finance department came in and transferred the money to these people. Nearly 80% of the shareholders chose to withdraw their shares. In particular, Gao Rinhui, Hao Xian Kong, and Jiang Zongcheng, several major shareholders, all chose to withdraw. At this time, almost all the shares of Zhao's catering group were concentrated in the hands of the Zhao family. Only a very small part of the shares were still in the hands of Zhao's supporters. Seeing the money arrive, the shareholders who withdrew their shares were relieved. Hao Xian Kong sneered and looked at Liu Dai, Zhang Jinkan and others who did not withdraw their shares. Liu Dai is Liu Pan's grandfather, and Zhang Jinkan is Zhang Yu's father. At the beginning, they were all old people who were given shares by Zhou Wanqiu. Liu Dai, Zhang Jinkan, do you really want to go bankrupt with Zhou Wanqiu? Hao Xian Kong sneered. Liu Dai sighed, when I worked with Brother Zhao, I was penniless, and he gave me everything. I've decided on him. Zhou Wanqiu looked at Liu Dai, and was moved. It was worth it for him to help him back then. Zhang Yu's father, Zhang Jinkan, curled his lips and said pooh. I'm a tough guy, I can't learn your tricks, throwing away your face for money. Hao Xian Kong, Jiang Zongcheng and others were angry and their faces flushed instantly. Jiang Zongcheng said angrily, okay. Zhang Jinkan, you are noble, you are amazing. I'll see if you can still be tough after you go bankrupt and your wife and children are crying for food. When that time comes, even if you kneel in front of me, don't expect me to help you. The two sides were on the verge of a fight. At this time, Gao Rinhui said loudly, everyone, now we have the money. In the future, we can jump out of Zhao group and get together again to set up a catering group. When Zhao catering group falls, a large market will inevitably be vacated, and that will be our opportunity to make a fortune. Also, the food center of Yaojia Binjiang Entertainment City and the provincial capital is in my hands. We can make it more successful than Zhao catering. We will take over all the projects of Zhao catering group. Then, we will use the food center project to go to the provincial capital. These words excited all the shareholders present. Count me in. I like a leader like Chairman Gao who is full of domineering. Hao Xian Kong was the first to respond. Jiang Zongcheng hurriedly followed, and me. I have long wanted to follow Chairman Gao to create a big business. Add me in. I want to join too. Suddenly, all the shareholders who withdrew gathered around Gao Rinhui. Gao Rinhui was in high spirits and seemed to be about to dominate the catering industry in Bincheng. Gao Minimum was also very proud. She walked to Zhou Wanqiu and said mockingly, haha. Zhou Wanqiu, when Zhao's catering group falls, I wonder where you can be the president. Then you can go to Gao's catering group to find me, President Gao, and I may be able to arrange a position of Secretary General for you. Haha. Gao Minimum was very proud. At this time, the staff handed all the withdrawal documents to Zhou Wanqiu. Zhou Wanqiu looked around and said sincerely, dear shareholders, I will give you one last chance. This time the health department's inspection will definitely solve it. Everyone, does anyone want to get their shares back? Everyone looked at Zhou Wanqiu and curled their lips in disdain. They admitted that Zhou Wanqiu had some ability. However, Zhou Shiji, the son of Bincheng's richest man, has never failed to get the fat meat he has set his eyes on. Gao Minimum sneered, Zhou Wanqiu, stop acting. Hurry up and put away these waste papers. When Zhao's group goes bankrupt completely, burn it. Ha ha ha. Zhou Wanqiu glanced at everyone inside slightly. Lock it in the safe. The staff immediately locked the withdrawal documents. Then, Zhou Wanqiu said to Zhang Jinkan and other loyal shareholders, don't worry, my Zhou family will definitely solve this crisis. Haha, you just brag. Gao Minimum sneered. Zhou Wanqiu looked at Gao Minimum and others. Ladies and gentlemen, you have already withdrawn your shares with money, why are you still staying in our group? Everyone's face was slightly ugly when they heard it, but they had to get up and prepare to leave. At this time, a staff member rushed into the meeting room and shouted loudly, leaders, the people from the health department are here again. Everyone's face changed. Gao Minimum laughed and said, Zhou Wanqiu, you are finished. Master Zhou Shiji, you don't want the Zhou group to survive until tomorrow. Zhou Wanqiu looked at Su Chen. Su Chen smiled and nodded to her. The next moment, Zhou Wanqiu's face was covered with a confident smile. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69. You will suffer for your own sins. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang led the way out. Gao Rinhui sneered and said, let's go and see the excitement. After all, I've been working in Zhao group for so long, so I should see how it fell. Everyone filed out. However, to everyone's surprise, it was not Tan Seicheng who led the people from the health department this time. The leader was a simple middle-aged man wearing a suit and glasses. This man was the top leader of the health department, Li Wandao. Deputy Director Tan Seicheng lowered his head and followed behind. Wu Yihua, the leader of Group 2, followed behind with a grim look on his face. Wan Linjian, the leader of Group 3, was in a good mood and smiled in the same row with Wu Yihua. There were also several staff members holding a bunch of things and following behind. Seeing such a group of people from the health department, Gao Rinhuo's face flashed a trace of doubt. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu looked at each other, and a hint of surprise burst out in their eyes. What Su Chen said is probably true. Zhao Pingjiang stepped forward quickly. Before he could move, Li Wandao had already stretched out his hands. Zhao Pingjiang quickly extended his hand, and the two shook hands tightly. Li Wandao said enthusiastically, you are Zhao Pingjiang, the chairman of Zhao's catering group, right? I'm Li Wandao. I heard that my health department caused losses to your group due to work errors, so I came here to apologize. Zhao Pingjiang's eyes burst into great surprise. Director Li, thank you so much. Thank you. Zhao Pingjiang was ecstatic. However, Gao Rinhui, Gao Minimum, Hao Xiankang and others were dumbfounded. Li Wandao said coldly, Deputy Director Tan, it's time for you to express your position. Tan Seicheng's face turned pale, and he stepped forward to apologize. I'm sorry, everyone. Because of my work errors, your group has suffered huge losses. I apologize to everyone. Zhao's catering group, the hygiene inspection is absolutely up to standard. I made a mistake. Zhao Pingjiang felt relieved instantly. In the morning, Tan Seicheng was high and mighty, but now he is servile. Li Wandao said, Chairman Zhao, please rest assured. After we go back, our health department will conduct an internal self-examination and strictly examine the work mistakes of Tan Seicheng, Wu Yehe and other staff members. Tan Seicheng's face was gloomy. Wu Yehe also trembled all over. He did the most to throw dirty water on Zhao's catering group, and he would definitely be held accountable in the end. If all the things he did in the past were dug up, he would be even more miserable. Li Wandao raised his hand, and the staff behind him presented several trophies and a stack of documents again. Chairman Zhao, after a strict review by our health department, we concluded that Zhao's catering group has always had high standards and strict requirements for hygiene, and it is a benchmark in the industry. Therefore, after discussion, we decided to award your group the title of Catering Food Group Hygiene Benchmark Enterprise, Health Inspection Exemption Model, Bincheng Hygiene Star Enterprise and other titles. I hope your company will continue to work hard. After saying that, Li Wandao left the things to Zhao Pingjiang and took his people away. He still had to go back to conduct the self-examination of the health department. The hard days for Tan Seicheng and Wu Yehe are coming. Inside Zhao's catering group, all the employees on the scene smiled. A life and death crisis was turned into safety. Zhao's catering group not only did not end, but rose instead. The employees and shareholders who did not rebel cheered one by one when they saw the trophies and certificates in Zhao Pingjiang's hands. These titles and trophies are official recognitions of the food and catering industry, and they are things that money cannot buy. With these official endorsements, consumers will have great recognition. Zhao's catering group can definitely go to the next level. In an instant, all the shareholders who withdrew their shares were dumbfounded. They could never have imagined that the situation would change drastically in the blink of an eye. Gao Minimum and Gao Rinhuo's faces were completely gloomy. Zhao Pingjiang, you are fucking plotting against me? Gao Rinhuo could no longer control his anger and cursed loudly. Zhao Pingjiang said coldly, Gao Rinhuo, when you frame someone, you'd better have some evidence. You have no basis. Are you talking nonsense? Gao Huairan gritted his teeth, but didn't know what to say. Gao Minimum stared at Zhou Wanqiu. The jealousy in her heart was going crazy. Why? Why did Zhao Shiji, the son of Bincheng's richest man, always get overturned? Why is this bitch always so lucky? Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Gao Minimum coldly and said nothing. But the meaning was very clear. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Gao Minimum's eyes went dark, and he almost fainted. At this time, Hao Xian Kong, Jiang Zhangcheng and others ran directly to Zhou Ranchang and begged bitterly. Brother Zhao, I was wrong. I'm a bastard. I deserve to die, please. Let me redeem my shares. Hao Xian Kong begged bitterly. Now, everyone can see that the shares of Zhao's catering group are going to become more valuable. Zhou Ranchang snorted coldly. Hao Xian Kong, it's impossible. Just now, I tried to persuade you with all my heart, but you slandered my Zhao family. As soon as he finished speaking, bang, Jiang Zhangcheng knelt on the ground. Brother Zhao, I was wrong. Please let me redeem my shares. From now on, I will definitely stand by you forever. Zhou Ranchang saw Jiang Zhangcheng with white hair and kneeling in front of him and felt a little reluctant. At this time, Zhang Yu's father Zhang Jinken sneered and said, oh, I remember you just said that even if our whole family starved to death and knelt in front of you in the future, you would not pay attention to us. Why are you kneeling down now? Jiang Zhangcheng's face suddenly burned. Zhou Ranchang remembered Jiang Zhangcheng's ugly face and immediately hardened his heart and ignored him. Seeing Zhou Ranchang's attitude, Jiang Zhangcheng stood up and cursed. Some people also looked at Gao Rinhuo coldly, blaming him for leading everyone to withdraw their shares. Gao Rinhuo's face was gloomy. He stood up again and said, everyone, stop begging the Zhao family. They are all ruthless and want to force us to death. Let's unite and set up a catering group, and we will not be worse than them. I still have the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project in my hand. We will definitely rise. Everyone immediately echoed. Yes. Yes. The Zhao family is ruthless. If they want to force us to death, we will fight them to the death. Unite and play a rival role with the Zhao family. Zhou Wanqiu was speechless when she saw this scene. It was obviously these people who jumped ship by themselves and ended up ruining the opportunity to take off. Heaven's will can still be defied. Self-inflicted evil cannot survive. Who can be blamed for this? Zhou Wanqiu thought to herself, if she took out the signed food center project contract, would these people vomit blood on the spot? In the end, Zhou Wanqiu still didn't take it out. She wanted to see what the scene would be like when these people finally found out that the trump card in their hands was empty. Since everyone is going to set up their own company, please leave our Zhao's catering group, Zhou Wanqiu said. Finally, the rebellious shareholders could only pack up their things and leave cursing. After these people left, the remaining employees and shareholders cheered again. Liu Pan's grandfather Liu Dai and Zhang Yu's father Zhang Jinken were even more excited. After everyone dispersed, Zhou Wanqiu took his grandfather and father back to the office. At the same time, Su Chen was also called over. Tell me, what's going on? Zhou Wanqiu stared at Su Chen. Chapter 70 Taking advantage of the situation. Zhao's catering group. In the president's office, Zhou Wanqiu stared at Su Chen closely. On the side, Zhou Rongchang and Zhou Pingjiang also locked their eyes on Su Chen. Su Chen was a little uncomfortable. What are you talking about? Why are you pretending to be stupid? Zhou Wanqiu rolled his eyes at Su Chen. Zhou Rongchang also smiled and said, Zhou Chen, how do you know that Director Li Wantao is here to help us? Su Chen made up an excuse. I just went out for a while and happened to hear Li Wantao scolding Tan Seicheng and Wu Yehe on the way here. So, I hurried back. That's it? Zhou Wanqiu stared at Su Chen. Su Chen shrugged. That's it. Of course, you can also think that I saved Li Wantao's family and he came to help us out to thank me. You will die if you don't brag. Zhou Wanqiu said with a roll of his eyes. Su Chen smiled. He knew that Zhou Wanqiu would not believe him if he told the truth. Zhou Pingjiang smiled and said, it seems that we are really lucky. Zhou Rongchang did not speak, but looked at Su Chen meaningfully. Su Chen walked out of Zhou Wanqiu's office. Just as he left, his cell phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Su Chen answered it. Mr. Su, this is Li Wantao. Are you satisfied with the result this time? A gentle male voice came from the other side. Su Chen thanked. Thank you, Mr. Li. It should be my Li family who thank Mr. Su. My uncle said that Mr. Li can visit the Li family often when he is free in the future. Li Wantao deliberately made friends with Su Chen. Su Chen smiled. Okay. The two hung up the phone. Su Chen sighed a little. Compared with Li Chunren, this Li Wantao is much better. Soon, Su Chen returned to the secretariat office again. As soon as he entered the door, bang, there was a loud noise. Then, ribbons and golden stars all over the sky floated down. Su Chen was confused. Zhang Yu, Liu Pan, Su Jiao, Xian Yang and others rushed towards Su Chen with salutes in their hands. Brother Chen, we are liberated. Ha ha ha. The female devil has gone. We are free. We must have a good drink tonight. Everyone celebrated excitedly. Su Chen realized that these guys were celebrating Gao Minimum's departure. It had only been less than an hour since this happened, and these guys had bought all the salutes. Zhang Yu and others jumped and shouted around Su Chen. Even the honest employees joined in, looking very excited. Su Chen smiled. It turned out that these guys were also fed up with Gao Minimum, but they could only endure it normally. Now that Gao Minimum was gone, they were also very excited. Zhang Yu approached Su Chen and asked, Brother Chen, why aren't you jumping or shouting? Su Chen was too lazy to pay attention to him. He was different from these people. They were fed up with Gao Minimum's oppression, so they were excited when Gao Minimum left. But he didn't take Gao Minimum seriously at all, and it didn't matter whether she left or not. If Zhou Wanqiu left, maybe. Su Chen thought secretly and laughed. Everyone in Zhao's catering group was very excited. At this time, there were two people who were also very excited. On the road, a black and white Bentley was moving rapidly. In the back seat of the car, He Zenshin was excited. Next to him, Wu Yiki was sitting, also excited. Wu Yiki laughed and said, Mr. He, Zhao's catering group is definitely going to be finished. Congratulations, you finally unified the Bincheng catering industry. He Zenshin's face was full of smiles, but there was a trace of regret in his heart. It's a pity that he has now surrendered to Zhao Shiji, the son of Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng. Otherwise, he would have become the real leader of Bincheng's catering industry. but after thinking about it, Zhou quickly let it go. Zhou Shiji can use this method to bring down Zhao's catering group, and naturally he can also bring down his catering group. Instead of this, it's better to be a dog for Zhou Shiji. Although there is a master on the surface, the power has increased a lot. If I think about it this way, I can accept it. Zhou thought secretly. Wu Yiki continued on the side. Chairman I asked my brother Wu Yihe. He said that this time Deputy Director Tan has murderous intentions towards Zhao's catering group, and Zhao will definitely fall. This time, we must bite them hard. Zhou smiled and said, of course. Zhao's fall is a foregone conclusion. At this time, the shareholders of their company must be thinking about cashing out and leaving. At this time, they must sell their assets at a low price. Now they are meat on the chopping board. Zhao's catering group has the Kenjia Shian Heo Group project, the Heo Bin Food Street project, and the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project. These are all top-notch fat meat. Wu Yiki's eyes lit up, revealing a trace of greed. Congratulations to Mr. He. I hope Mr. He will remember me and leave me more broth. After all, my brother Wu Yihe is in the health department, and he also asked me to pass on a lot of news to Mr. He. Wu Yiki said meaningfully. Zhou glanced at Wu Yiki, feeling slightly unhappy. Wu Yiki said he was begging him, but in fact he was threatening him with his brother Wu Yihe. Zhou hid his anger and laughed. Of course. Brother Wu and I will work together to share the Zhao family feast. Yes, yes. Let's enjoy it together. Wu Yiki echoed. The two laughed with their own ulterior motives. Zhao's catering group, the president's office. Three figures appeared. They were none other than Zhou, Wu Yiki and Liu Zuan. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang looked at the three with gloomy expressions. Just now, the company had just survived the crisis, and Zhou Rongchang went home. Zhao Pingjiang stayed to help Zhou Wanqiu deal with the company's problems. The two were still busy, and Zhou and the other two suddenly came. Zhou, Wu Yiki, what are you doing in our group? Zhao Pingjiang said with a cold face. Zhou ignored Zhao Pingjiang, but turned to Liu Zuan and said, Liu Zuan, you go to the door and guard it. Don't let anyone disturb my conversation with Chairman Zhao and President Zhao. Liu Zuan turned and went out. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhao Wanqiu's faces turned cold. In Zhao's catering group, Wu Yiki dared to be so arrogant. Zhao Pingjiang stared at Zhou and said in a deep voice, Zhou, do you know where this is? Before Zhou answered, Wu Yiki spoke first. Zhao Pingjiang, pay attention to your attitude when talking to Mr. He, which will determine the price of your company's project later. Zhao Wanqiu was stunned. The price of the company's project? What do you mean by this? Haha. Mr. Zhao is a good actor. He is still acting at this time. Zhou sneered. Zhao Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang were confused. Wu Yiki smiled proudly. Zhao Pingjiang, my brother has told me that your group has been sealed by the health department and will soon go bankrupt. Now, there should be many shareholders who want to withdraw their shares, right? Ha ha ha. Zhao Pingjiang and his daughter looked at each other, and they finally understood. These two guys turned out to be taking advantage of the fire. It seems that when Li Wandao conducted an internal investigation and dealt with Tan Seicheng and Wu Yihe, he directly controlled their communication equipment. So they didn't pass on the news at all. After realizing this, Zhao Pingjiang and Zhao Wanqiu laughed. Chapter 71 I've interrupted. Zhao Pingjiang looked at the two of them as if they were fools. Oh. So what do you want? Zhou said with a smile. It's very simple. I'm willing to buy some of your company's high quality projects at a high price. Chairman He, how much are you willing to pay? Zhao Wanqiu smiled. Zhou sneered. 1/10 of the market price. Zhao Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang looked at each other and curled their lips. This bastard is really cruel. Fortunately, the crisis of the group has been overcome. Otherwise he would have succeeded. Chairman He, are you kidding? You are so insincere. Please go back. Zhao Wanqiu said lightly. Zhou smiled proudly and said, I'm serious. If your group is completely closed down, you will not get a penny, and you will also face a huge claim for compensation. Believe it or not, no one can take over your project except me now. Zhao Wanqiu smiled. You are right. No one can take over our project. Because our group will never transfer it at all. These projects are all goose. that lays golden eggs. Why should we sell them? He Zhenshen's expression was sinister. Zhou Wanqiu, why are you pretending to be stupid? The seizure order from the health department will be issued soon. Do you want to die with these projects? Zhou Wanqiu laughed. I have never seen the seizure order you mentioned. But I have something else here. Mr. He may be interested. As he spoke, Zhou Wanqiu took out all the trophies and certificates awarded by Li Wandao. He Zhenshen and Wu Yiki were stunned. The two of them hurriedly came over to take a look. Title of Hygiene Benchmark Enterprise of Catering Food Group Model of Hygiene Inspection Exemption Bincheng Hygiene Star Enterprise. A pile of medals and certificates with official seals made He Zhenshen and Wu Yiki stunned. The signing time of these certificates and trophies was today. He Zhenshen and Wu Yiki felt a chill on their backs. Impossible. You are definitely fake. Mr. Zhao arranged it personally, and Deputy Director Tan took action personally. You can't turn the tables. The smile on He Zhenshen's face disappeared, and he shouted like crazy. At this time, ding-ling-ling, Wu Yiki's cell phone rang. What? Wu Yiki suddenly screamed, and his face changed drastically. He Zhenshen looked at Wu Yiki and suddenly panicked. He felt that something might have happened. Wu Yiki hung up the phone, and his whole spirit seemed to be sucked away. What's wrong? He Zhenshen asked with gritted teeth. Wu Yiki was about to cry. Mr. He, something has happened. The health department has conducted a self-inspection, and Deputy Director Tan Seicheng and my brother Yehe have all been fired. The previous problems of Zhao's catering group were all false accusations. These certificates and medals are all real. Wu Yiki was like a bereaved mother, and He Zhenshen stood there in a daze. Seeing the expressions of the two, Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang almost laughed out loud. These two people were so funny that they actually took the initiative to come to their door and give them a slap in the face. Chairman He, look, do you want to raise the price you give us a little bit? Maybe we will agree. Zhao Pingjiang said with a mocking face. He Zhenshen's face flushed and his chest rose and fell violently with anger. He never thought that he would be so humiliated when he came to Zhao's catering group this time. Zhao Pingjiang, you are looking for death. He Zhenshen was so angry that he directly ordered, Liu Zuan, come in and break his legs for me. Zhao Pingjiang was immediately startled and hurriedly stepped back. He didn't expect that He Zhenshen had such a bad temper that he would choose to use force directly. Zhou Wanqiu was very anxious and regretted not calling Su Chen immediately. However, 5 seconds passed, 10 seconds passed, and there was no movement outside the door. He Zhenshen turned around and shouted to the outside, Liu Zuan, are you deaf? Come in and break his legs for me. At this time, a clear voice sounded. Broken. Already broken. He Zhenshen was stunned. The office door opened. Su Chen pinched Liu Zuan's neck with one hand and walked in from the door, like dragging a dead dog. Liu Zuan's leg was covered with blood. It seemed that it had been broken. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang's eyes were full of surprise. Mr. He, is this what you mean by breaking the leg? Su Chen asked with a smile. Seeing Su Chen's smile, He Zhenshen's scalp numbed instantly. He was stimulated by Zhao Pingjiang just now, and his brain was hot, and he almost forgot that Su Chen was still here. He Zhenshen hurriedly stepped back a few steps. He suddenly felt that it was a bit ill-considered for him to come to Zhao's catering group like this. Wu Yiki was also frightened by Su Chen's fierce appearance, and then took a few steps back and stood with He Zhenshen. He Zhenshen felt so angry that he cursed in his heart. Can't you just stand in front of me? Su Chen, don't be arrogant, you will cry later. He Zhenshen gritted his teeth and shouted without losing the battle. Su Chen threw Liu Zuan aside and said lightly, if you continue to bark here, I will make you cry now. Do you believe it? He Zhenshen shuddered when he heard Su Chen's words. Let's go. He Zhenshen didn't dare to say anything more and helped Liu Zuan, who was holding his legs and screaming, and left quickly. Seeing the three people running away, Zhou Wanqiu showed a smile on his face. Zhao Pingjiang looked at Su Chen, not knowing what to say. Although He Zhenshen hadn't done anything to him yet, if Su Chen hadn't come over, he might have really broken his legs. The father and daughter looked at Su Chen, not knowing what to say. Su Chen said with a natural expression, since everything is fine, Chairman Zhao, Mr. Zhao, I'll leave first. After that, Su Chen turned and left. Su Chen. Zhou Wanqiu suddenly spoke. Su Chen stopped and turned around. He said helplessly, Mr. Zhao, I know that if you hit someone in the company, your salary will be deducted. Tell me, how many days will be deducted this time? Zhou Wanqiu blushed and said, no deduction this time. Thank you for this time, I'll give you an extra bonus. Su Chen was stunned. He looked at Zhou Wanqiu in disbelief. Mr. Zhao, are you sure? This is not your usual style. Zhou Wanqiu was a little embarrassed by his gaze and said shyly, if you keep talking nonsense, I will deduct your salary. Yes, this is your character. Su Chen nodded and turned to leave. Zhou Wanqiu was angry and embarrassed. This bastard, what does he mean? Zhao Pingjiang glanced at Zhou Wanqiu and said, Wanqiu, Su Chen has completely offended his Zenshin now. Will he be in danger? Zhou Wanqiu curled his lips and said, that bastard has offended his Zenshin more than once. There are too many lice, so you don't have to be afraid of them biting you. Zhao Pingjiang asked, then should we send Captain Zheng and the others to protect him? Dad, no need. Zhou Wanqiu said, you don't know Su Chen. He is not good at other things, but he is really good at fighting. If he can't deal with him, I guess Captain Zheng and the others can't either. Zhao Pingjiang nodded. Finally, he turned his head and glanced at Zhou Wanqiu. Wanqiu, I see that you seem to know Su Chen very well. You are not interested in him, are you? How is that possible? Zhou Wanqiu blushed like a cat whose tail was stepped on. Her pretty face was slightly red and her voice was raised. Zhao Pingjiang hurriedly said, I'm just asking. Don't get excited. Let's continue to study the group's affairs. Zhou Wanqiu blushed and continued to sit back. His mood, however, could not be calmed for a long time. Chapter 72 Underground Means. Downstairs of Zhao's catering group. In a luxurious black and white Bentley. Bang. Son of a bitch. Zhenshin slammed the steering wheel. He didn't understand why he always failed every time he targeted Zhao's catering group. He failed to compete for the new factory bid of Cheyenne Heo Group. He failed to compete for the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project. He tried to win over Su Chen, but not only failed, he was also fed poison. Now, he is a dog for Zhao Shiji, asking Zhao Shiji to use the health department to deal with Zhao's catering group, but he still failed. Wu Yiki sat in the co-pilot, looking at the furious Zhenshin, his heart pounding. He mustered up the courage to say, Mr. He, don't worry too much. Mr. Zhao must have other ways to deal with them. As soon as he finished speaking, bang, Zhenshin slapped him in the face. Wu Yiki's eyes were dull. He covered his face and asked, Mr. He, what do you mean? Zhenshin gritted his teeth and looked at him coldly. What do you mean? If it weren't for your untimely news, would I have taken the initiative to go to Zhao's catering group to suffer such humiliation? Just on the way to Zhao's catering group, Wu Yiki threatened him with Wu Yihe, wanting to get a share of the Zhao family. Now that Wu Yihe has been fired, Zhenshin will not give him face anymore. Wu Yiki felt humiliated, lowered his head, and gritted his teeth. Now, he had no other choice but to hold Zhenshin's thigh tightly. Seeing Wu Yiki's docile attitude, Zhenshin's anger was finally relieved. But, there is one thing you said, you are right. I want to find Mr. Zhao Shiji again, and ask what's going on. Soon. The Heo Chunjing Hotel. In a luxurious box. Zhenshin looked angry and stared at Zhao Shiji. Mr. Zhao, I want to know the reason. Why can Zhao's catering group turn around when it was sealed by the health department? Bang. A slap hit Zhenshin's face hard. Zhenshin's face quickly became red and swollen. Zhao Shiji's sharp eyes swept over Zhenshin. In an instant, Zhenshin's whole body was cold. He realized that he had no right to question Zhao Shiji. Zhao Shiji looked at him coldly and said indifferently, I don't like people talking to me in this tone. If there is a next time. At this point, he glanced at Feng Dao, the iron fist beside him. Feng Dao gently swung his fist. Bang. A chair next to him was instantly broken into pieces. Zhenshin trembled all over and lowered his head quickly. Mr. Zhao, I'm sorry, I was too excited. I deserve to die. Zhao Shiji didn't bother with Zhenshin anymore, but made a phone call. Asked. Soon, he hung up the phone. His hawk-like eyes burst out with anger. I have already found out that it was Li Wanqiu from the health department. I don't know why he suddenly attacked Tan Seicheng. On the side, Iron Fist Feng Dao was puzzled. Sir, Li Wanqiu is Li Xiaolei's nephew. He should know that Tan Seicheng is a member of the Zhou family. Why did he attack him? Isn't he afraid of causing a conflict between the Zhou and Li families? Zhou Shiji's expression was grim. I will call Li Chunren now and see what he says. Then, Zhou Shiji called Li Chunren. The call was connected. Li Chunren, I'm Zhou Shiji. Tan Seicheng is from my Zhou family. Don't you know? What does Li Wanqiu mean? Although Li Chunren is more than 10 years older than Zhou Shiji, he is of the same generation as his father Zhou Changling. However, Zhou Shiji has no respect for him. On the other side, Li Chunren looked ugly. He said angrily, Zhou Shiji, I'm of the same generation as your father, but you don't even call me uncle, but come up to question me. Who gives you the courage? Zhou Shiji smiled coldly. Li Chunren, I'll give your old man a face and call you Uncle Li. If I don't give him face, you are worthy of being called uncle by me. Let me ask you, what exactly does Li Wanqiu mean? Is he targeting our Zhou family? Or is it that your Li family also has their eyes on the piece of fat meat of the Zhou family? Li Chunren got angry, and he sneered. Don't worry about what he means. But I can tell you one thing, your Zhou family don't even think about touching the Zhou catering group. Zhou Shiji's eyes were cold. Li Chunren, do you want the Li family to go to war with my Zhou family? His tone was cold and threatening. Li Chunren said toughly, if you insist on thinking so, our Li family is ready to fight at any time. Zhou Shiji frowned. Li Chunren seemed to be tougher today, very different from his usual self. Okay, we'll see. Zhou Shiji could only leave a harsh remark. Hang up the phone. Li's villa. Li Chunren frowned slightly and looked beside him. Li Xiaolei and Li Wanqiu were sitting next door. Dad, why do you let me be so tough with Zhou Shiji? If things go wrong, the Zhou family will really go to war with us. A trace of worry appeared on Li Chunren's face. Li Xiaolei looked at Li Chunren, and a trace of disappointment flashed through his heart. The war hasn't even started, and his son is scared first. The Li family has fallen from the position of the richest family, and they really deserve it. Li Xiaolei said, didn't I tell you? We must treat Su Chen with the highest courtesy. Now the affairs of the Zhou group are Su Chen's affairs, and our affairs. Last time, because of your attitude, Su Chen was very disappointed with our Li family. This time is the best opportunity to make up for our relationship. Even if it means going to war with the Zhou family, it's worth it. Li Chunren moved his lips, but didn't say anything. He really wanted to ask, is Su Chen worth investing so much? But thinking of the slap his father gave him last time, he decided to keep his mouth shut. On the other side, Li Wanqiu said, cousin, if Su Chen's martial arts skills are really that high, then I fully support my uncle's opinion. Although our Li family is the second richest family in Bincheng, and although I, Li Wanqiu, am also the leader of the health department, in the eyes of some special beings, we are really worthless. And Su Chen is very likely such a special being. This kind of person is worth our full efforts to maintain the relationship. This is the key to the Li family's takeoff again. Li Xiaolei looked at Li Wanqiu with appreciation. Wanqiu is absolutely right. Li Xiaolei echoed. His nephew, whether in vision or courage, is much better than his son. Seeing that his father and cousin said so, although Li Chunren did not understand, he could only keep it in mind. In the luxurious box of Dahao Chunjing Hotel, crash, a table of food was overturned by Zhou Shiji. This waste Li Chunren actually dared to shout at me. Zhou Shiji's eyes were vicious and angry. Li Chunren's attitude just now irritated him. He Zenshin asked cautiously, Mr. Zhou, now that the Li family is protecting the Zhou catering group, what should we do? Zhou Shiji looked at He Zenshin coldly and said, why? Do you think I have no tricks like this? He Zenshin bowed quickly and said, I dare not, I dare not. Zhou Shiji's expression eased a little. Now, it's just that the route of the health department is blocked. If you want to bring down a Zhou family, there are many ways. If official means don't work, then let's use underground methods. There was a violent look in Zhou Shiji's eyes. Chapter 73, something went wrong again. Doesn't your second brother He Zhenlong have a Black Dragon Society? This kind of organization is the most suitable for doing this kind of thing. Zhao Shiji glanced at He Zenshin. Hearing what Zhao Shiji said, He Zenshin showed a trace of grief on his face. Mr. Zhao, you may not know. Just a few days ago, my brother's Black Dragon Society was destroyed by Chen Zhangyi of Zhangyi Hall. My brother and my son both died in the Black Dragon Society. At this point, He Zenshin hurriedly added, by the way, Mr. Zhao, I feel that Chen Zhangyi has no ability to destroy the Black Dragon Society at all. I guess it must be that Su Chen who took action. Otherwise, Chen Zhangyi's Zhangyi Hall is not the opponent of the Black Dragon Society at all. After being taught a lesson by Su Chen several times, He Zenshin slowly woke up. Zhangyi Hall, which has been suppressed by He Zhenlong, how can it destroy the Black Dragon Society? This must be related to Su Chen. Zhao Shiji said lightly, it seems that Su Chen is really something. Then how about this? I will send someone to deal with Su Chen. In addition, I will send someone to you. In the name of revenge for your brother, you can take over all the forces of the Black Dragon Society and take over the Loyalty Hall by the way. This way, when you do something dirty in the future, there will be someone to run errands for you. He Zhenlong was immediately pleasantly surprised. Zhao Shiji started to deal with Su Chen, and his revenge could be avenged. In addition, Zhao Shiji asked him to take people to take over the forces of the Black Dragon Society and the Loyalty Hall, which was a good opportunity for him to improve his strength. Zhao Shiji turned his head to look at Feng Dao and said lightly, Feng Dao, do you have the confidence to deal with that Su Chen? He Zhenlong hurriedly said that Su Chen is not simple. Liu Zuan was repelled by him with one move. Feng Dao smiled coldly, clenched his fists, and made a crackling sound. Although I'm only the youngest apprentice of the invincible Yang Wudi, I'm not the opponent of this country boy. I can kill rubbish like Liu Zuan with one punch. Su Chen is at most like Wang Zhengyang from Zhengyang Boxing Gym, who can withstand 3 punches from me. Feng Dao was confident and proud. Zhao Shiji smiled and said, well, this time Feng Dao will take action to deal with Su Chen. He Zenshin looked excited. Zhao's catering group. After get off work, Su Chen continued to take Zhou Wanqiu's car home from get off work. Zhou Wanqiu seemed to be in a good mood and hummed a song on the way. She had a good voice and sang very nicely. However, Su Chen did not talk to her for fear that this sister would not know what was wrong and would scold him again. After arriving home, Zhao Giran prepared a table of delicious food. She also heard about what happened in the group and knew that the Zhao family not only escaped a disaster, but also drove Gao Rinhui and other parasites out of the company, so she specially prepared good wine and food to celebrate. Everyone was in a good mood and ate heartily. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang told their grandfather and mother again about He Zenshin's visit this afternoon. Zhao Rongchang and Zhao Giran were scared. Fortunately Su Chen came here today, otherwise my dad might have been hurt by Liu Zuan. Zhao Wanqiu said. Zhao Pingjiang nodded, also with a look of relief. Su Chen was stunned. This Zhao Wanqiu actually praised himself. He looked up at Zhao Wanqiu, but Zhao Wanqiu had a proud face and didn't even look at him. Su Chen didn't care. Anyway, as long as Zhao Wanqiu is happy, if she is happy, he will be more comfortable. Zhao Rongchang was very happy. It seems that my arrangement for Su Chen to join the company is still very useful. Zhao Giran was even more happy to pick up 2 pieces of ribs for Su Chen. Zhao Chen, you eat more meat. You are a reliable child. During the meal, everyone was very relaxed and happy while eating and chatting. After dinner, Zhao Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang entered the study and continued to discuss company matters. Su Chen, on the other hand, was soaking his feet and watching TV. Zhao Rongchang smiled and said to Zhao Giran, Giran, did you see that Wanqiu's attitude towards Su Chen has improved a lot, and he took the initiative to praise him today. Zhao Giran smiled. Love is built through time. Zhao Chen is an honest child. He has medical skills and knows martial arts. It's normal for Wanqiu to change her mind slowly. I guess it won't be long before our family will have another baby. Haha. Zhao Rongchang stroked his beard with a smile, his face full of wrinkles. I'm so looking forward to it. On the side, although Su Chen was watching TV, he also heard the conversation between the two. Zhou Wanqiu can have a baby with me? Maybe in the next life. Su Chen smiled bitterly in his heart. She was able to praise herself today, probably because she was in a better mood. After driving Gao Minimum and Gao Rinhui away. Who knows what will happen after today. After soaking his feet, Su Chen chatted with Zhao Rongchang and Zhao Giring, and then went upstairs. He planned to take a shower before Zhou Wanqiu came back. As a result, Su Chen had just entered the shower room when Zhou Wanqiu returned to the bedroom. At this time, ding-ling-ling, Su Chen's cell phone rang. Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Su Chen's cell phone and did not move. She wanted to wait for the other party to hang up. As a result, the ringtone stopped after 60 seconds and then rang again. Zhou Wanqiu frowned slightly. After waiting for another 60 seconds, the ringtone stopped and then rang again. Who is calling Su Chen? So persistent. Is there something urgent? Zhou Wanqiu thought again and again and picked up Su Chen's cell phone. She first glanced at the caller ID. There was no name, but a landline number. The call was connected. Hello, dear. How come you? A sweet voice sounded. Zhou Wanqiu's face instantly darkened. Click. She hung up decisively and then threw Su Chen's phone aside. This bastard. Zhou Wanqiu cursed inwardly. So many things have happened in the past 2 days that she almost forgot about Su Chen's rich lover. Thinking about it now, her anger surged again. Su Chen, this bastard. I thought he had something urgent. Turns out, he's this bastard's lover. Dear, you big-headed ghost. Zhou Wanqiu was so angry that her chest kept heaving. She thought about how she had praised Su Chen during dinner. Haha. Good intentions were wasted. Bastard. Zhou Wanqiu grabbed the pillow and slammed it on the bed. However, she soon regretted it, regretting that she hung up a little too quickly. It seemed that she should have a few more words with that woman and find out who she was. Thinking of this, Zhou Wanqiu was angry and depressed. Soon, Su Chen came out of the shower. Looking up, Su Chen forced a smile to see that Zhou Wanqiu was back. However, what he got in return was Zhou Wanqiu's cold eyes. Su Chen shuddered and quickly checked up and down. He found that his bathrobe was wrapped very tightly and there was no leakage anywhere, and he was a little puzzled. You are back. Su Chen tried to say hello. After all, Zhou Wanqiu treated him well during dinner tonight. However, are you blind? If I'm not back, then where am I now? Zhou Wanqiu retorted. Oh, the familiar smell is here again. Su Chen was too lazy to pay attention to Zhou Wanqiu and went back to his bed on the floor. Seeing Su Chen's attitude, Zhou Wanqiu was very angry. Finally, Zhou Wanqiu pouted and walked into the shower room. Su Chen sighed. Oh, it keeps happening. I really don't know how I offended her again. Ding-ling-ling. At this time, Su Chen's cell phone rang again. Su Chen saw that it was Qin Yao's number. He answered the call. Honey, you finally answered the phone. Qin Yao's sweet voice came. Chapter 74. Let's take a shower together when we have time. Su Chen automatically ignored the word dear. On the other side, Qin Yao pouted and complained. My benefactor, do you know? I just called you twice with my mobile phone, but no one answered. I called you again with my home landline, but it seems that I dialed the wrong number. The other party picked up and hung up again. This is the 4th call I have made. Su Chen smiled. I just went to take a shower. Sorry. What? Take a shower? Qin Yao's voice was full of excitement and temptation. I like to take a shower too. Let's take a shower together when we are free. Su Chen was confused. It was indeed the style of Qin Yaoqing. Su Chen glanced at the shower room and quickly said, what's the matter with you? Tell me quickly. Hehe. Qin Yao smiled. Nothing else. I just want to ask you, have you settled the matter of Zhao's catering group? Su Chen smiled and said, it's settled. Qin Yao said, oh, I really envy Zhou Wanqiu. She has such a great hero who protects her secretly and can solve all the troubles at once. Unlike me, who is so pitiful, weak, and helpless. Qin Yao showed off her drama queen acting skills. Su Chen smiled helplessly. Your father almost treats you as his ancestor. What else do you have to be dissatisfied with? Besides, you haven't encountered any difficulties. If you run into trouble, I will definitely help you. King Yao smiled sweetly. This is my good benefactor. By the way, there is one more thing I need to tell you. Old man Yao Zhenfeng may have to return to the provincial capital in the near future. Before he leaves, he wants you to help him check his body again. Su Chen nodded and agreed. Okay, I'll go to see him tomorrow night. It just so happens that I also have something to ask him. Okay, benefactor. Love you, Muah. King Yao hung up the phone. Su Chen smiled helplessly. This King Yao, it's really helpless. Click. Su Chen was hanging up the phone when Zhou Wanqiu pushed open the door of the bathroom. Zhou Wanqiu saw the smile on Su Chen's face and then looked at the phone in Su Chen's hand. Huh. She immediately glared at Su Chen fiercely and then snorted coldly. Su Chen looked puzzled. What the hell? I just made a phone call. How did I offend anyone? Soon, the two turned off the lights and went to sleep. Su Chen continued to sit cross-legged to practice. On the bed next to him, Zhou Wanqiu began to toss and turn again. In the dark, Su Chen glanced at her. I don't know what this sister is worried about again. Su Chen resolutely did not speak, avoiding making any noise. He has learned from experience. From the time he turned off the lights to the time Zhou Wanqiu fell asleep, he even felt guilty about breathing. An hour later, Zhou Wanqiu finally fell asleep. Su Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Finally free. The next morning, when the two went downstairs for breakfast, Zhou Wanqiu was still cold to Su Chen. Zhou Rongchang and Zhao Girang looked at each other, a little confused. She was fine last night. Why is she like this in the morning? After Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu left, Zhao Girang said, Dad, I think Wanqiu and Su Chen seem to be a little cold again. Zhou Rongchang nodded and persuaded, I feel the same way. However, young people are emotionally unstable. Sometimes they may not talk to each other for a whole day after a quarrel. Let them solve it themselves. Zhao Girang nodded and sighed. On the way to work, Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu were silent all the way. Downstairs of Zhao's catering group, a familiar corner. Zhou Wanqiu stopped the car without saying a word. Su Chen pushed the door and got out of the car by himself. Just as the Porsche Cayenne was about to leave, Su Chen suddenly said, Hey, Mr. Zhao. The passenger window fell down. Speak. Zhou Wanqiu said expressionlessly. Su Chen said, Mr. Zhao, I have an appointment with a friend tonight. You don't have to wait for me. After get off work. Zhou Wanqiu's face sank, and she thought of the phone call last night again. Disgusting. Humph. Before Su Chen finished speaking, Zhou Wanqiu snorted coldly and stepped on the accelerator. Woo. The Porsche Cayenne roared and left at the speed of light. Su Chen opened his mouth, but finally closed it. Arrived at the secretariat office, Zhang Yu and others were still busy with their own careers. But it can be seen that these guys felt much more comfortable after Gao Minimum and others left. Su Chen looked through the company information for a while, and then called Zhang Yu over. Brother Chen, what do you want to talk to me about? Zhang Yu looked like a flatterer. Su Chen asked, I heard that you are particularly familiar with the big and small news in Bincheng. Hearing this, Zhang Yu suddenly looked proud. Brother Chen, you can ask without worry. Bincheng's darling tongue is me. Zhang Yu said very arrogantly. Su Chen smiled. Then do you know about Bincheng's richest man Zhao Changling and his son Zhao Shiji? Of course I know about this. Zhang Yu laughed, then his face changed slightly, and asked, by the way, Brother Chen, I heard from our company that the health department targeted us yesterday. It was arranged by Bincheng's richest man Zhao Changling and Zhao Shiji, right? Su Chen nodded. Zhang Yu's face suddenly fell. Damn. Is this bastard targeting us? Su Chen looked at Zhang Yu in confusion. Zhang Yu hurriedly explained. Brother Chen, you don't know that the richest man in our Bincheng is not Zhao Changling, but Li Xiaolei. Zhao Changling is an outsider who came to our Bincheng to develop more than 10 years ago. As a result, after arriving, he rose rapidly like a dragon crossing the river. Su Chen asked, if an outsider comes to Bincheng, will the local forces in Bincheng allow him to rise like this? Zhang Yu scratched his head and said, of course there are local people targeting him. As a result, Zhao Changling is also evil. The local companies that targeted him soon collapsed, and none of them had a good ending. I heard that Zhao Changling has masters, all of whom are very powerful. Ordinary entrepreneurs and bosses. For the sake of their lives and property, dare not fight him head on. He relied on this to enter one industry after another to grab the cake, and step by step, developed into the richest man in Bincheng. Su Chen nodded. Zhang Yu continued. Even the former richest man Li Xiaolei could only avoid Zhou Wanqiu for a short time, after seeing his tyranny. Of course, this was also due to the fact that his son Li Chunren was not doing well. What about Zhou Shiji? Su Chen asked. Zhang Yu scratched his head. Zhou Shiji is the same as his father Zhou Wanqiu. He is also a troublemaker. If he likes a certain industry, he will definitely get involved. If you are stronger, he will bring money to you to invest. If you are weak, he will directly destroy you. Anyway, he will make money in any industry. Su Chen finally understood. It turns out that the richest family in Bincheng is such a bunch of people. Brother Chen, now Zhou Shiji has set his eyes on our Zhao catering group. What should we do? Zhang Yu asked nervously. Su Chen smiled. Don't worry. I'm here. I won't let them succeed. Zhang Yu nodded and said with a smile, Brother Chen, you look really handsome when you brag seriously. Su Chen laughed and scolded. Get lost. Okay, Brother Chen, I'm going back to play games. Zhang Yu went back happily. Su Chen said, weren't you worried about Zhou Shiji just now? Are you still in the mood to play games now? Zhang Yu turned around and said with a smile, Brother Chen, is my worry useful? Su Chen was stunned. Zhang Yu continued, if the sky falls, there are Sister Qiu, Chairman Zhao and my dad to support it. People like me are useless, even if I get anxious to death. So, while nothing happens now, and you're in a good mood, play a few games quickly, otherwise, you won't be able to play comfortably when you're in a bad mood in the future. Su Chen laughed and gave Zhang Yu a thumbs up. This second generation ancestor, he can lie down so confidently. One day, in the office, without Gao minimum to make trouble, everyone was in a good mood. Zhou Wanqiu was also cleaning up the mess after the shareholders withdrew their shares yesterday, so she didn't bother Su Chen. Su Chen felt very relaxed. When he got off work, Su Chen received a call. Qin Yao had already arrived downstairs of Zhao Group on time. Chapter 75 Swords, Fists, and Kicks. The window of the Mercedes-Benz G-Class rolled down. Handsome guy, you are so handsome. How much do you want to show up? Qin Yao's opening remarks always make people embarrassed. When passers-by looked at him with wide eyes, Su Chen quickly got into the car. Ha ha ha. Qin Yao burst into laughter. Su Chen looked helpless. Hurry up and drive your car. You are so unruly every day. If you don't know, you will think you are a female hooligan from somewhere. Qin Yao smiled proudly. I'm a female hooligan, but I won't tease people everywhere. I will only tease those handsome and fierce genius doctors. Thank you for the compliment. Drive quickly, Su Chen said. He didn't understand why Qin Yao always liked to tease him when he was just a poor boy from the countryside. Qin Yao stopped joking, and the two soon arrived at the Dahao Chunjing Hotel. After parking the car, an acquaintance came over. It was Qin Yao's father, Qin Wentian. It seems that Qin Wentian will also attend this party. Yao Zhenfeng is the old patriarch of the Yao family in the provincial capital. He is a top figure, so Qin Yao naturally wants to introduce him to her father. Hello, Uncle Qin. Su Chen hurriedly stepped forward to greet him. Although the two did not have a very pleasant first meeting. However, Qin Yao and Qin Wentian helped Su Chen several times later. The relationship between the two became more harmonious. Qin Wentian's face was full of smiles. Zhou, you are here. Qin Wentian is also a smart person. He changed the address casually. In this way, it seems close. Qin Yao smiled and said, okay, you two don't be polite. Go over quickly, and don't let Grandpa Yao wait too long. Qin Wentian and Su Chen smiled and followed Qin Yao. Qin Yao seemed to be in a good mood. He was in the middle of the two men, holding each other's hands and jumping. The little rabbit jumped up and down, which was very dazzling. Su Chen quickly adjusted his body and looked straight ahead. After all, the other person's father was next to him, and it would be too embarrassing to be caught in the act. But Qin Yao is really gifted. Even if Su Chen didn't look sideways, the little rabbit would still occasionally get into his peripheral vision and even hit his arm. Qin Wentian was also a little embarrassed, so he quickly pulled his hand away and took 2 quick steps. He led the way in front, leaving Su Chen and his daughter side by side. Qin Yao didn't care about him at all, but chatted with Su Chen with a smile. This made Liao Qin a little sad. It seemed that his little cotton padded jacket was about to be worn by someone else. The 3 of them walked to the entrance of Dahao Chungjing. At a glance, they saw Yao Zhenfeng and his group waiting. Yao Zhenfeng was in front, and Yao Nana and Li Yiting were behind. Next to him, there was also Liu Jinghao, the owner of Dahao Chungjing Hotel, accompanying him. In fact, Liu Jinghao didn't know who Yao Zhenfeng was waiting for. He just heard his subordinates report that Yao Zhenfeng was waiting at the door of the hotel, so he hurried over to accompany him. Anyway, it was his duty to accompany the guests that even the old patriarch of the Yao family in the provincial capital had to wait for. If he met some big shots, it would be a pleasant surprise. Soon, Liu Jinghao saw Yao Zhenfeng's guests. Su Chen, Qin Wentian, Qin Yao. Liu Jinghao's mind raced. Qin Wentian was definitely not worthy of Yao Zhenfeng's flattery, and Qin Yao was even more so. The only answer was Su Chen. Sure enough, the moment he saw Su Chen, Yao Zhenfeng smiled and went to greet him. Zhou Chen, you came to see me, Yao Zhenfeng said with a smile. Su Chen rolled his eyes and said unhappily, of course, Grandpa Yao. He deliberately emphasized the 3 words Grandpa Yao. When he accompanied Zhou Wanqiu to sign the food center contract that day, he was tricked by this old naughty boy and called him a few times. Ha ha ha. Yao Zhenfeng laughed, feeling very proud. Such jokes are quite effective. Su Chen will not be angry, and it can also bring them closer. On the side, Qin Yao said, Grandpa Yao favors sons over daughters. He only sees Su Chen, the grandson, and not me, the granddaughter. Su Chen looked annoyed. What do you mean by only seeing Su Chen, your grandson? It sounds like an insult. Yao Zhenfeng begged for mercy and apologized to Qin Yao. Qin Yao smiled gently and introduced her father, Qin Wentian, to Yao Zhenfeng and others. Soon, everyone got familiar with each other and returned to the box together. Su Chen checked Yao Zhenfeng's body first, and he was basically fine. Yao Nana and Li Yiting were relieved. Yao Zhenfeng didn't take it seriously. In fact, he knew in his heart that he had fully recovered. He just wanted to use this reason to build a relationship with Su Chen. Everyone ate and talked. The topic soon turned to the crisis of Zhao's catering group yesterday and Bincheng's richest man Zhou Changling. Yao Zhenfeng said with a little dissatisfaction, Zhou Chen, why didn't you tell me when you encountered such a big trouble? Although my Yao family's power is mainly in the provincial capital, I can find someone in Bincheng to pass on the message. Su Chen smiled and said, don't bother 2 masters for one thing. I happen to know the old patriarch of the Li family, so I asked him to solve it. This Li Xiaolei is really lucky. His nephew is indeed in the health system. Yao Zhenfeng was quite jealous. He felt that this old guy Li Xiaolei must have seen Su Chen's potential, so he took the initiative to sell favors. Thinking of this, Yao Zhenfeng felt uncomfortable that the precious treasure he discovered was suddenly seen by others. I still have to build a good relationship with Su Chen as soon as possible, otherwise there will definitely be more and more people like Li Xiaolei, Yao Zhenfeng thought. Everyone continued to chat. Su Chen asked, dear seniors, I want to know, what if I kill Zhou Changling? When this came out, everyone was shocked again. Qin Wentian was about to roll his eyes in his heart. Yesterday, when Zhao's catering group encountered difficulties with Tan Seicheng from the health department, Su Chen also asked him directly what would happen if he was killed. This time, Su Chen had the same question about Zhou Changling. Qin Wentian was a little numb. This young man has a strong desire to kill. However, Qin Wentian was not opposed to such a straightforward method, but he had to consider the feasibility comprehensively. For example, Tan Seicheng, he is a public figure, and he must not be directly attacked. As for Zhou Changling, there are other reasons. Qin Wentian frowned slightly. I don't recommend doing this. Because Zhou Changling has many masters under his command. If you fail to succeed once, it will alert the enemy, and then he will take crazy revenge. When Zhou Changling first arrived in Bincheng, his opponents also wanted to get rid of him in this way. However, in the end, it was his enemies who fell. Perhaps, you can miss the attack and escape thousands of miles away, so that Zhou Changling can't do anything to you. However, the Zhou family may be implicated. On the side, Yao Zhenfeng also nodded and said, "That's right. I have to add that this Zhou Changling is not only powerful enough now. He came to Bincheng from the provincial capital. His brother Zhou Changshan is in the provincial capital and is a martial arts master. If Zhou Changling dies in your hands, his brother Zhou Changshan will definitely take crazy revenge." Su Chen was silent. "That's right. If you don't cut the grass at the root, it will grow again in the spring breeze. If you want to completely get rid of the Zhou family, you must kill Zhou Changling, Zhou Shiji and Zhou Changshan. Otherwise, it will cause trouble for the Zhou family." Su Chen felt that the situation was a bit tricky. However, he did not take it too seriously. If Zhou Changling and Zhou Shiji went too far, he would not mind going to their homes and teaching them a lesson. Even if he could not kill them, he could still scare them. At this time, Yao Zhenfeng suddenly said, "By the way, Zhou Chen, there is one more thing I need to remind you of." Su Chen looked at Yao Zhenfeng. Yao Zhenfeng said seriously, "According to the information from my Yao family, Zhou Changling has 4 masters, namely knife, sword, fist, and foot. Knife, sword, fist, and foot." Su Chen was somewhat interested. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.